It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. It's going to be a good panel. Brianna Wu is here from Rebellion Pack. Carl Bodie, longtime tech reporter from Tech Dirt, Motherboard, even the founder of DSL Reports. This is going to be great. He's never been on before, so give him a nice welcome. And all the way from CNET, senior editor Lisa Edichico. Lots to talk about. Of course, Apple's big event coming up Tuesday. Apple's victory in the Apple versus Epic trial. Is it a victory? Epic doesn't think so. We'll also talk about ProtonMail and why they think they've solved the problem. It all has to do with your advisory board. It's all coming up next on Twit.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 840, recorded Sunday, September 12th, 2021. Princess Peach 3-frame vine jump. This Week in Tech is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Businesses reopening means millions of jobs will need to be filled. So, where do those businesses turn to fill these roles fast? ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified candidates for your job and invites them to apply. Right now, you could try ZipRecruiter free at ziprecruiter.com/twit. And by AT&T. If there are friends and family members you haven't talked to in a while, don't worry. It's never too late to reconnect. To help, AT&T is offering deals on the latest smartphones. It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving new and existing customers their best deal on every smartphone, even the latest ones. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. Visit att.com for details. And by IT Pro TV. If you're interested in a career in IT, you need to learn the fundamentals and make sure your certs are up to date. IT Pro TV is the best place to learn IT from Microsoft, AWS, Linux, and more. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription when you use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by Casper. When it comes to a better night's sleep, Casper's new cooling collection has you covered. Focus on tomorrow. Let Casper handle the rest. Explore Casper products, sheets, mattresses, pillows, and more at casper.com/twit1 and use the code TWIT1 for $100 off select mattresses. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news with wonderful people. I love the best thing about Twit is it's different. It's different every week because we have a different panel every week. But there's people we just love to bring back again and again. Brianna Wu is one of those. Director of Rebellion Pack, former candidate for Congress in Massachusetts, game developer, and Porsche restorer, pinball game wizard. I can go on and on. Hi, Brianna.
So good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. I wish people could see the computer that you're on. It's one of those builds with lots of LEDs and a clear case.
It's embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. It's like a teenager came and created my computer. I literally got, like, Razer has a thing. It will let you add additional addressable RGB strips to it.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm just like, more. No, I must have two boxes until it's just like makes the whole office glow at night. That's how tacky I am.
No, you're not. In fact, the Laporte household has a few of those.
Okay.
The other day I was driving up and I thought, what is that glow coming from my office? And I realized that for some reason the Alienware had gone into some sort of weird cycle mode and it looked like a hot tub from the 70s. It was just, it was going. And then Michael's got a Republic of Gaming desktop that also has extensive LED coverage. It's crazy.
It is. I keep telling Frank I need an adult to come decorate my house at some point.
No,
it looks like
you don't want
Comic-Con
beige.
exploded.
No, you don't want beige.
I need something. I don't know.
Welcoming back from CNET. We haven't seen her in a while, and I don't know why. It's my fault. I'm sorry, Lisa Edichico. It's good to see you.
It's great to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we won't keep it so long in the future. What are you covering these days at CNET? Do you have a beat, or is it everything?
Yeah, I do have a beat. So I'm covering mobile devices, but I'll probably be, contributing to a little bit of everything as I normally do.
Well, we might.
But yeah, mobile devices is my beat for now.
We might have a little to talk about this week on mobile.
Just a little bit.
On the mobile device front.
Yeah.
It's great to have you. Are you in San Francisco?
No, I'm in New York, actually.
New York.
Yeah.
All right. We got 2 East Coasters, and then we're going to go to the Pacific Northwest to welcome, for the first time on this show, I'm thrilled to have him, Carl Bodie, who is kind of a legend. Your name comes up all the time. We're always quoting your articles in Tech Dirt and Vice and other places. And it's nice to see you, Carl.
I really appreciate you having me here. I've been a fan of yours since the Screensavers days. So it's great.
Many years ago, I used to be on TV.
Yeah. I used to do Manhattan IT law firm work, and I used to
that's
your
cool.
show all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We should probably mention this is for people who are in Manhattan, this is a very powerful, all over the country, really, a very powerful weekend. And did you go to any of the memorials, Lisa, at the 9/11 memorial or anything like that?
Not this weekend, no. I've been to it in the past, but I didn't go this weekend. Yeah, it's hard.
I was born in New York City, so I don't know why, but I feel like that's home in many ways, even though I didn't live there very long. And I flew back on October 2001 to do a TV show back there. Again, nobody would go, so I was the only guy that they could get for Live with Regis and Kelly. They said, will you fly? I said, sure. But I wanted to go out there because I wanted to visit Ground Zero and see, and this, I'll never forget, the fire department there and all of the flyers on the fences, and it just was really dramatic. And since my wife and I have gone back to visit the memorial, which is beautiful, and then when the museum opened, which is right next to the memorial at Ground Zero, we went, and I'm sobbing. It was so moving, that museum. If you're in New York City, you have to go to Ground Zero and visit it because it's a beautiful memorial. And then the museum really, really brings it home. So,
yeah, so being able to see the frames of the old buildings underneath there is really
exactly
that alone is pretty amazing.
Yeah, the basement's there.
I was there that day, and I remembered it all very well.
Oh, you were still working there? Oh,
yeah. I moved out of New York City about 6 months after that, and I remember marching across the Queensboro Bridge with millions of just dumbfounded people, and the cell phone networks weren't working, so you didn't know if your friends were alive. And you're staring down at southern Manhattan, watching the giant plume raise, and
terrifying. Yeah,
I get a little frustrated with the never forget rhetoric because it's just not.
Don't worry.
To forget.
Yeah, don't worry. Those of us who live through it will not.
Exactly.
We'll talk with Jeff on Wednesday. Jeff Jarvis, who was on the PATH train coming in from New Jersey when it hit. And so that station.
I was on the 7 train. And I saw the first plume of smoke go up, and then when you climb up out of the subway into Manhattan, there was just this electric energy in the air. The terror of it was really something.
He still thinks he has health problems because he was covered with dust and breathed.
Yeah, I mean, there was nowhere in the city you could go where you didn't smell the burning plastic for just weeks. And, even out in Queens in Astoria where I was, you could smell it for a very long time.
The thing that most moved me at that museum was the fire truck. For some reason, that always really gets me. Of course, the people who died in the incident, but there's the first responders who, while everybody's running away, are running towards. And there's a fire truck in the museum that's basically melted. It's just the remnants because it was sitting right there. And that's when I lose it every time. It's just very powerful.
Plus they're playing the old voicemails, when you go into that museum, I think, if I remember right.
Oh, you're right.
Voice. Yeah,
the radio calls, the voicemails, that brings it right back. Very present.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't worry. No one's forgetting. It was a very powerful time.
To be honest, it's kind of traumatizing just sitting here talking.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Yeah. I'm just saying I'm right there with you, Carl. There's no way you could forget it. I had just moved to DC as a very young woman to start a career in politics, and the Pentagon got hit that day, so it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Here's this is the basement of the museum. So they're actually, this is the structure of the building. And there's the plinths. Just wow.
I don't know if you guys have ever been to the museum in Washington, D.C. I don't know if it's still around, but they also have a 9/11 exhibit that was really, really moving and very, frankly, difficult to get through, where they show what media coverage was like on the day and just the videos of, reporters barely being able to hold it together on air, and everything was just so powerful and, like I said, really hard to get through.
I think they closed the museum, didn't they?
I think they did close it, yeah.
So sad.
I know. I loved it. I spent like hours in there.
I would have too.
It's a great museum, but yeah, it closed, unfortunately, I think.
They lost a lot of money or something. The one tech story that's tied to this is a lot of the sites that were created at the time were done in Flash and can no longer be run. So there's a huge swath of content that's gone because it was in Adobe Flash. I hope somebody's doing their best to preserve it, maybe the Internet Archives. On Tech TV, I remember going in, and of course we suspended our shows. The screensavers took a couple of weeks off, and I remember vividly the night we came back and we had lit candles. But I also remember vividly the day of, and I'm anchoring with Erica Williams, right? What's her? And she was, of course, a New Yorker, and she was such a pro. But she would burst into tears every commercial break. She was like, I have to leave. I have to take a moment because it was very, very visceral. Erica Hill, I'm sorry, Erica. I should remember your name. I apologize. And she's still on CNN, I think. Yeah. All right, now we've mentioned it. We can move on. I wasn't going to, but it's kind of hard not to. And since we have people from New York on the show, I thought I should probably bring it up. The big story of the week is Apple versus Epic. And I've been kind of very interested in getting to this show and finding out what you all think of this. Because Apple basically said we won. Epic said we lost. But I think it's more complicated than that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's fascinating. So, and by the way, Epic has now appealed, so that's kind of goes along with we lost. Where they lost was Apple, the judge was unwilling to call Apple a monopoly. Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers ruled Friday Epic should pay damages to Apple for violating rules, but was unwilling to call Apple a monopoly. Both companies will bear the costs of their own cases. But I don't think it's exactly a loss because the judge also said to Apple, you need to make some changes in your app store. And maybe it's fair to say this is the least Apple could have expected, or this has been what's coming all along. But it could have cost Apple billions of dollars. The judge says you have to let iOS apps use, quote, buttons, external links, or other calls to action that direct customers to purchasing methods other than Apple's payment system. And it strikes me that Apple may have won this battle, but they've lost the war. Mm-hmm. You agree, Brianna?
I don't know if I would go as far as say lost the war. I think big tech lost overall here. So I think if you are, you're skeptical about the amount of power, unchecked power, large technology companies have, you kind of won with this. I thought it was very interesting that the judge noted that being very, very successful does not make you a monopoly, which the Apple Store certainly is. But I think the part of it I'm most worried about is it seems like this is opening up apps to all kinds of payment systems. I mean, if I want to put out a video game that has in-app purchases with Dogecoin, can I do that now? Because from my reading of this, I think I could. I really kind of worry about the scams that could come out with payment systems now.
Apple also wasn't sure what it means. They said it's too early to determine how or when exactly the changes will be implemented. They have 3 months. They said, we want to have conversations with the judge to find out what she means. But it's not even clear that it says allow third-party payment systems. But you just, on the least aggressive interpretation would be, say, in the Kindle app, which you've been prohibited from linking to Amazon's website to buy a book. They could now link to Amazon's website to buy a book. That would bypass Apple's 30%. Apple has prohibited that in the past. Lisa, you cover mobile.
Yes.
Apple said this is a victory. The court has affirmed what we've known all along. The App Store is not in violation of antitrust law, and success is not illegal. It's a resounding victory. Is it?
I don't think it's that simple. I think it's a little bit of both. I think the outcome definitely could have been a lot worse for Apple. I think if they were ordered to maybe, change the fee that they charge and lower it, like maybe that would have been a worse outcome. But I do think, we are going to see some ramifications from this because don't forget, Apple makes a lot of money from the App Store. I think I might have to check this, but I think it's their second largest business after the iPhone. So, it's a big deal. And, I don't know exactly how much money Apple makes from the App Store. They don't break out that specific information, but I can probably only assume it's a lot because
it's
a lot
billions.
of their other
It's billions.
Yeah, it's that and iCloud subscriptions, I would imagine, especially considering a lot of their other services are still new. So, this is a big deal for them. But I'm also curious about, you mentioned we don't know how Apple is going to implement this yet. And I think that's a big deal because if it's something that's kind of cumbersome for developers to put into their apps, or if there are specific rules about where the call to action can be placed or how big it is, consumers might not use it anyway. And then, they're still using in-app purchasing because, a lot of this depends on how the consumer decides to purchase something through the app, right? So I think there's a lot of questions that are still up in the air about this for sure.
Carl, did Apple breathe a sigh of relief? I guess they did.
I think
worse.
like you guys, I think like you guys said, it's kind of a mixed bag. They could have had it much worse. The court basically said that, they could be a monopoly, but that Epic really didn't prove that in the case. So the door is open here. And you still have all these other lawsuits against like Google, for example. And some of the, I don't know if you saw the unredacted Epic complaint against Google, but that includes some very interesting, more pointed. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
The unredacted Google complaint contains some information showing how they were actually paying wireless carriers
and game developers.
Yeah, they were paying wireless carriers something like 25% of the commission, and that was right around 2010 when Google was starting to kind of drift away from its original founding vision, like it used to support net neutrality. And around 2010, you saw them kind of shift away from that. And the unredacted complaint Epic filed showed that Google is basically throwing money their direction, billions of dollars to not try. So I think as you see more of these cases coming out and more of the antitrust inquiries with Linicon at the FTC, it's going to get complicated.
The Google, for instance, at one point thought about buying Epic. They were so worried.
Yeah, exactly.
They paid top game developers, including Activision Blizzard, not to leave the Google platform.
Yeah, and they were paying phone makers not to include competing app stores on the phone.
Yeah, But that's the interesting point in this is that unlike the iPhone, there is a setting on Android devices that say use third-party app stores. So you don't have to use Google.
Right.
And I think Google probably doesn't worry about it so much because people just do what's easy. And I'm sure that's why Apple's not too worried about this. In fact, it makes you wonder why Apple fought so hard. Because people are just going to use Apple Pay. It's just easier.
Yeah, it works well.
I mean,
the system is already...
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Finish, Carl.
It works. The system works well, and it's already set up to give them a bunch of advantages. So I think a lot of people are going to still continue to use them, and I don't know. Plus, we're entering this phase now where they're going to debate about the definition of a button for 6 months, and then we have to see if people actually enforce anything. So they've got a lot of runway here to tinker with.
Analysts don't know, and they won't say how much this could cost. Billions, but how much? How much is billions? According to Sensor Tower, Apple from games alone, and mostly from in-app purchases, made $3.8 billion in 2020. But Brianna, you think that that's at risk or not?
I think a really good question to ask yourself with almost anything in technology is, hey, how would 4chan use this? So I would really encourage you to ask.
You know that
yourselves,
from bitter experience that you should ask that question.
Right. So we're all assuming here rational actors, like we're thinking about our use case, right? Like, of course, I get the modal dialogue that comes up when I do my when I get an iPhone. I put in my credit card. Apple Pay is easy. That's what I go to. How would someone really deranged operate to exploit this rule? And I would encourage you guys to take a closer look at children's games on iOS, because I know it all started with that $99 Smurfberry thing.
Yeah.
It did not stop there.
Yeah.
So someone's calling me now on Skype. Oh my gosh.
When you say deranged, you don't mean Tim Sweeney. You mean other even more deranged people than the head of Epic. Yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting. If you go, let's say you're in the Kindle app or the Netflix app, and you say, I want to subscribe. I imagine what you'll see now is pay with Apple Pay, pay on the Netflix site, maybe equal-sized buttons. It depends what Apple allows them, but I think this is the spirit of the ruling. If it's 30% less, or maybe even only 15% less to pay on the Netflix website, maybe people will do that. But I think it's just so easy to go, pay with Apple, does the face recognition, it's done. I'm sure Apple's assuming the vast majority of people, this won't be a change.
I think that's right. And Epic called it a loss, but it's not. When you consider this is probably the biggest change to be implemented in the Apple Store in, I don't know, its history, perhaps. I think that's something. It's not exactly like that's nothing.
Well, and it may be worse coming. I mean, South Korea is making Apple put other app stores on the phone in South Korea. Yeah. The same thing may happen in other countries. It's it's on the table in many countries. So Apple. And
then you layer on these other antitrust inquiries, and I think there's there's a real sea change happening here. I don't know if it'll result in anything, but it's moving that direction.
Well, that's
and I think that's. Oh, sorry,
ahead,
Leo.
Lisa,
I was just going to say, Carl, I think that's what makes this so interesting too, is because this is really one of the first times that we are seeing, the type of action that would be taken, in an antitrust case like this. Like you were saying, there's a lot of concerns right now and a lot of different, lawsuits and cases that are and issues that are being raised. And I feel like this is kind of like our first peek into like what, how the country is like thinking about, the modern, antitrust situation in big tech today. And I think that's really interesting.
I mean, you consider that first decade from 2000 to 2010, it was all about innovation and how miraculous and amazing all the technologies were. And then like right around the 2010 point, people started to think a little more deeply about some of this stuff. Like, how do I moderate content at scale? What does the gatekeeper power on the phone device actually mean? People started to actually notice. And I think we've finally, just in the last maybe year or two, started to see some actual action, in terms of even the GOP and both parties being interested in kind of raiding in some big tech stuff.
But remember, I think you've covered this, how much money big tech telecoms pay Congress to keep them in check. I'm always suspicious about anything significant happening from Congress.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem with antitrust reform, is it's so broad and it impacts so many companies that you get just this massive coalition of companies across industries all funneling all their money towards one thing, which is not any expansion of existing antitrust law. And it's hard to beat that. If you're, the opponents in that case are going to be consumer groups and activists and academics, and, they're outgunned, they're outfunded. So it's going to be hard. I think there is a sea change here, but whether it actually ends in any meaningful antitrust reform is really quite a big question. It seems
more likely to happen in the EU than it does in the US. I don't know, Brianna, you looked into this when you were running for Congress. I mean, as long as congressional campaigns are heavily funded by the companies they're trying to regulate, I wonder how much regulation can be done.
I unfortunately have to agree, or just how curious they are about these issues. It seems to be very, very low. I would encourage you to go to Open Secrets and look at how much, say, AT&T donates to people on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee in Congress. It is a ridiculously low amount for the legislation that get passed.
So don't confuse all of the sound and fury which politicians do for the base. We're not going to let them, censor our politicians with actual action
100%.
Yeah, although I have to say
Unfortunately.
both Texas and Florida have passed bills that prevent social media companies from blocking politicians because of what they say. I don't know how constitutional those would be. The Florida bill, I think a judge already issued an injunction, a temporary restraining order on, and the Texas bill just got passed, so we'll see what happens there.
Leo, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sometimes politicians do things for show because they got an election coming up. I'm sorry to tell you.
Oh, no. I'm disillusioned. How could you say that?
You know, America is a country that we like monopolies. You look at the airline industry, you look at the banking industry, you look at insurance and telecom. And the last 2 years has been heavily focused on big tech. But I mean, it's everywhere when you look at it, when you really step back.
Yeah, and as Apple said, the judge affirmed success is not illegal. And by the way, nobody's asserting that any of these companies are somehow flawed. Well, mostly nobody's asserting somehow these companies are flawed by being successful. They're flawed by being monopolistic, by using their success in the marketplace to dominate other companies and to put them out of business and to prevent other companies from coming in and taking business away from them.
Well, that consumer welfare standard that all the antitrust focus is always focused on is basically saying if the prices are low and consumers are happy, then there's no real problem here. You know, that's kind of an overarching logic that's gone through antitrust reform. But Linda Khan at the FTC came to fame by just saying, there's more going on here than just whether consumers are happy. Are you impacting other businesses?
Right.
Or are you creating gatekeeper gardens? And so
in the long run, consumers won't be happy if there's only one place you can buy something online, only one place you can buy a smartphone. That is not, in the long run, going to make consumers happy or keep prices low. They're only low until there's no competition.
Yeah, and specifically with this, App Store debate that we've been seeing play out recently in the Epic trial, I'm really curious to see if some developers do lower the prices of their apps or their subscriptions if they don't have to go through Apple. Because remember, I think Spotify was the one that kind of, stepped out and said this maybe last year in 2019, I forget. The CEO said, hey, we have to inflate our prices because, we have to pay this, 30% concession to Apple and we don't have a choice. And, Apple does not have to do that with Apple Music. So it's, a different situation. So now I'm curious to see if there really is an impact on prices the way, we've kind of been led to believe.
Oh, now
100%.
The cynic in me is going to say, no, of course, you know better than that.
Pass those savings on to us. Savings onto the consumer.
Pass that saving on to our CEO. He needs more compensation.
If I could just say, I feel like we're focusing on Apple here, and Apple is obviously the more interesting of the two companies. But I think looking at Epic, I think this has gone really under-examined. I mean, Epic in some ways took a really big risk. Did some very expensive litigation in an effort. I'm so torn here, though, because Unreal Engine is amazing. That's what I built my career on. But, Epic had this really big scandal just a few weeks ago. Leo, I don't know if you heard about this, but there's a really big indie game called Among Us. And basically you have a bunch of players. You're trying to figure out who the imposter is. And the imposter is going around secretly murdering people, trying to evade getting caught as long as possible.
It's AOC's favorite game. I know.
It's a great game. It's wonderful. So Epic took Fortnite and copied literally every single bit of this indie game that broke out. They called it Imposter. They used the same lexicon. And you obviously can't patent gameplay, nor would we want that. But this was a very big ripoff when they could have just partnered with this studio. So as much as through this, I'm like, I want to give Epic kudos for picking a really big legal fight with, a giant when there really wasn't that much win in it for them. On the other hand, I'm like, it's kind of undercuts their credibility when they've gone through with Fortnite and have stolen the game design, basically, of PUBG and Among Us and others to basically get a piece of the pie. So it really undermines their credibility as standing up for the little guy. I
think a lot of us have said on various shows that it's a good lawsuit, but it's a terrible company to be making in the lawsuit. That it's great to call Apple the carpet, but maybe Epic isn't the champion that you really want. By the way, Call of Duty also has a double agent mode that is a copy of Among Us. But that doesn't that happen all the time if the game is successful?
I mean, I could give you 100 examples.
I mean,
here.
really, Among Us is werewolf, right?
Yeah, you can go back that way, but there's a different thing than taking a hit indie game and using the exact same terminology.
I guess, yeah.
It's just, to me, that's
I shouldn't call it an imposter. Yeah,
agent or something.
Yeah, secret agent. I'm completely with you. And by the way, Fortnite does not get back on the iOS platform just because of this ruling. They're still not. They asked Apple, give us back our developer credentials, and Apple said no. So it doesn't.
Yeah, and the judge agreed that they had violated their contract.
Yeah,
so, they're not going back on it.
They have to pay a fine. So I guess and in balance, Apple knew it was going to have to give up a little bit. That's what they gave up. The big one that they didn't want to give up, they get to keep. And I think they probably aren't going to lose a lot of money. I think most users are going to go with whatever the easiest thing is. And Apple's going to do everything they can to make it easier to pay through Apple than anything else, no matter how many other links there are.
I disagree with you, Leo. I think we're going to see some scams coming up. I think
scams is a good point.
Children.
And actually, that was one of the, in fact, I was a little offended because was it Eddie Q who came on and said, Mac OS is so insecure because we allow this. We don't ever want to allow this on iOS. And it's like, what? That's your defense is to throw Mac OS under the bus? Okay. The judge, by the way, did not buy that argument at all. All right, let's take a little break. Take a breath. Relax. It's great to have you. Brianna Wu is here from Rebellion Pack. So nice to see you in your red beret. Have you joined the what was the name of that vigilante group in New York City? The beret that wore the red berets.
No, there's a
Curtis
vigilante group.
Oh yeah, Curtis Sleewer. Yeah, what is that?
Didn't Curtis? He ran for mayor, I think.
He did. Yeah,
he's still wearing a red beret.
Yeah, that guy's amazing. He just keeps on going. He got shot 12 times by the mob, and he just continues on his merry way.
The Guardian Angels.
That's it.
The Guardian Angels. Is that your Guardian Angel red beret?
Honestly, I figured out that I don't always have to do my hair if I'm wearing a beret, and I can go on TV and Zoom. That's literally my thinking process behind it.
I got a giant cowboy hat for that.
Well, I know you're there with your Dyson Airwrap before the show. Leo,
actually, I do it all, man. I got to get the curls in and all of that. You bet. Also with us, Carl Bodie, who's now having second thoughts. Carl, of course, longtime tech reporter. I didn't know this. One of the founders of DSL Reports, which I have long plugged.
Yeah, it was
good job on that. And we see him all the time now in Tech Dirt. In fact, I'm going to talk to you about an article you posted on Tech Dirt recently, and a couple of Vice articles too we got on the rundown from you. He's a busy guy. And from CNET senior editor Lisa Edichico, great to see you and your purple hair. It's so wonderful.
Thank you.
Is
great
it purple?
To be back.
Is that right or pink?
It's kind of pink. More of like a magenta pink kind of color.
Okay. Got to get it right.
It kind of changes a lot.
So. I love it. No, it's great.
Great. Thank you.
Everybody needs a trademark, right?
Exactly.
Our show today brought to you by Zip Recruiter. Okay, I love this. According to Forbes, gyms, nail salons, what do these businesses have in common? Mom and pop stores and restaurants. They're all, you can't go to a restaurant these days without a help wanted sign in the window. They're all on an epic hiring spree. Don't put a help wanted sign in the window. Hire smart with Zip Recruiter. All these businesses reopening means millions of jobs need to be filled. And the best way, and I can tell you from actual experience, the best way to fill these positions is with ZipRecruiter. Why? Well, I'll tell you. First thing, you post your job on ZipRecruiter, it automatically posts to more than 100 other job boards. You're casting the widest possible net, plus Twitter and Facebook and all the social networks. You're going to get your job posting in front of the most people. That means the most likely, the right person will see it. But then ZipRecruiter has something unique that's fantastic. Their matching technology. It scans resumes across its network of millions of job seekers. It looks for someone that matches your qualifications and then proactively presents them to you. And by the way, evidence shows that when you invite somebody to apply, you're going to get more candidates and better candidates. You can easily review the recommendations before you invite. You invite the top choices to apply for your job. That means you're going to apply faster. According to ZipRecruiter internal data, jobs where employers invite candidates to apply will get 2.5 times more candidates. And I have to tell you, from my own experience, again, better candidates, people you really want to hire. ZipRecruiter's technology is so effective, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. When we use it, we'll get a quality candidate within an hour. Like that fast. It's amazing. Right now, you could try ZipRecruiter free if you go to our special address, ziprecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter, ZipRecruiter, ZipRecruiter.com/TWIT. It really is the smartest way to hire. Don't put a sign in the window. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/twit. And I'm glad these people are hiring. It's great. It's really great. You can't go anywhere in Petaluma without seeing help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. It's a good time to be looking for work. All right, let's move on. I'm sorry, we're going to be talking a lot about Apple. There is a lot of Apple news, and it will be that way next week too, because the invitations have gone out. Apple is having an event on Tuesday, California Streaming, which is a nice little play on the Mamas and the Papas song. And there was a picture of a lake and a floating apple. Lisa, do you go through the annual parsing of the invitation at CNET? Is there a lot of time spent on what does this mean?
Honestly, I never read too much into it. I mean, it's kind of fun, I guess, to look at it, but it's kind of, I don't know. I don't feel like you get too much out of it. I mean, every year it seems like Apple has like some kind of like augmented reality Easter egg in these invites now, and it doesn't really amount to much.
It usually doesn't, does it? After all of that. This
they put some puns in there. Like last year, I think it was Time Flies, and like they unveiled the Apple Watch. Like, okay, but we were expecting that anyway. So
yeah, this one's gonna. Well, yeah, you're gonna be streaming the event. Anything else to say about that? We pretty much know this is an iPhone event. I mean, this is the time.
Yes.
You wrote an interesting piece where you said if they make a mini, this might be the last mini.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we won't really know for sure until Apple unveils whatever it's going to unveil. But yeah, there have been some reports that in 2022, Apple could pivot towards actually, getting rid of the Mini and instead releasing another version of the Pro Max, since that seems to be one of the more popular models. The
Mini didn't sell that well this year, right?
No, it doesn't seem that way. I mean, I've seen of course, Apple doesn't specify by model which ones sold well and which ones didn't, and they would never say something didn't sell well anyway. Right. But there's been quite a few reports that I believe are based on channel checks at carriers and whatnot from, market research companies that have indicated that the 12 mini didn't sell well. And I think that was a little surprising at first, because whenever there's, a new iPhone size, people are usually really excited about it. And for years, there's been this shift to bigger and bigger screens. So I think there was some expectation that some people might be kind of sick of that and looking for something smaller, especially after the iPhone SE did pretty well. But yeah, it turned out that wasn't really the case. Because
of an Apple MagSafe filing with the FCC, we do, I think, know that they mentioned 8 different models, 4 legacy models, and 4 new models numbers we hadn't seen before. So I think we do know that Tuesday Apple will announce 4 new iPhones. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what all of the reports that we've seen leading up to this event are indicating. So and again, this is usually the time of year when Apple announces its new iPhones. Last year, I think, was a little bit of an exception to the rule. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's been every September since 2012 or something like that. Apple's been announcing new iPhones. Yeah. So yeah, it's I feel like almost certain at this point for sure.
And I feel so guilty. I'm part of the problem that I want the Mini to do well, and I always bought the Max. I'm rooting for the Mini.
You want the extra. It's so funny because so many of the people on our shows said, "Oh, I can't wait. The Mini's going to be great. The Mini's going to be great." But I think you're right. You go for the extra cameras. You go for the bigger screen, the better processor.
And also, don't forget.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
I was going to say the Mini also isn't that much cheaper than the regular iPhone 12. So I think that's part of it too. It wasn't as cheap as it could have been. And also 6.1 inches is not like a big phone these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, but I think they weren't positioning it. They were still positioning it as a premium. It was just a smaller phone. It wasn't an SE.
Right.
It was, and I wonder if the fourth phone might be an SE this year because it's been 2 years. I think that sold very well. In fact, I recommend the SE to a lot of people because it's a less expensive but late model iPhone.
The SE did really well.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brianna.
We're talking. Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I wish they put out a Mini with a better camera on it. Like the reason I always go for the Pro and the Max, it's the camera. Like once you have that zoom function and that quality, it just comes in handy all the time. Yeah. So, put that form factor in the Mini and I buy it, is that I think they assume that the person that wants the Mini is also going to want a bargain. And I don't agree with that. Like we're both old enough to remember when smaller tech was actually more expensive.
That's right.
Because you had to miniaturize all the parts inside of it. If you can do that, I will take a battery hit. I want a really well done small phone and they won't produce that.
We'll be spending plenty of time all next week talking about whatever Apple does announce. The live stream, Micah Sargent will join me at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. We take our life in our hands and restream Apple's stream with our commentary behind it. So you can watch that or you can watch the original Apple content and then Mac Break Weekly immediately after. So iOS Day will start a little bit early on Tuesday so that we can do that. Probably there'll be no AirPods. Probably there will be a new Apple Watch. Some or all of this stuff will be in short supply because of chip shortages. Apple's less hit by chip shortages than a lot of companies, but they still use what they call legacy nodes, and some of those are still hard to get. In particular, the rumor is that the Apple Series 7 watch will be hard to get, but not because of shortages, but because it's hard to make that new big screen that they're going to put on it. 1 millimeter bigger. 1 silly little millimeter bigger. Anyway, all the coverage really begins Tuesday and will continue until you're sick of it. I thought the most interesting thing, and I really hope this happens, Google released a teaser for its Pixel 6 that got people talking because it looked like they might be showing some dates in there. Let me show you and see what you think of the new Pixel 6 trailer, because maybe I'll pause it when we get to some. Okay, so what if there it is? What was that?
No.
What was that? It said 9:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe it's going to be September 30th, or is it 9:30 in the morning? I don't know. Keep playing. The smartphones were just. Wait a minute. Monday. Wait a minute. What was that? Monday 02. Are they messing with us, Lisa? Is this just they're just messing with us now?
They might be. I mean, like we said, reading into these things, I feel like companies know that we're going to read into this to some degree. So they try to maybe throw some Easter eggs in there, maybe just try to throw us off their scent.
There's at least 4 dates in this. Okay, there's the 21st. There was a rumor for a long time that it was going to be tomorrow. It was going to be on the 13th, but everybody says, oh, you wouldn't announce a phone the day before Apple. And
oh, gosh, I hope not.
But the whole thing Google needs to do is to get people talking. And this teaser certainly got people talking.
And if you're... it's interesting that they're doing this like for this specific Pixel model because, as you can see, just based on the new design and the way they're kind of positioning this, they're kind of trying to rebrand Pixel as being, a really premium phone again after a couple of years of the A series being more popular than the regular phone. So it's interesting. And I think, it was a while ago, so I might not be remembering correctly, but I think they pulled off like a similar stunt when the original Pixel was announced back in 2016. Like they did something around the same time as like the new iPhone launch, I think. And
we all thought they got so badly burnt by that they said never again. But, you got to get attention however you can. You got to get the Lisa Chicos of the world to go, oh, there's a new phone. we ought to cover that.
I think you're both reading it wrong. I think this is a lost series of numbers, like the season of lost. 4, 8, 15, 16, what was it? 32.
Yeah.
These are magical numbers that will do something. So let's write them all down.
Well, Google it would not be unheard of for Google to do something crazy like that, right? to just, oh yeah, that's the Fibonacci sequence, and if you were carefully observing, we left out the numbers 5 and 7 or something like that. I wouldn't put it past them at all. So I don't know. It's they're clearly throwing those numbers in just to get us. It will be an interesting phone. It's going to have Google Silicon. There's going to be more and more. I hear more and more rumors about this phone being kind of massively powerful, especially machine learning. It's about time Google kind of took last year off. I don't know. Well, I'm actually rooting for them to announce it tomorrow, and we'll all have to scramble. I'll have to
An even busier week for us. Yes,
Jason and I have to come running in. You'll have to go. Well, quick. Who do we have on the Google front? It'll be
Leah,
crazy.
Jumping back just a little bit. I mean, speaking really honestly, are you rooting for the chip shortage with like a small part of your mind? Because for me, it's like I look at what this has done for the car industry, and used cars.
It's killed the car industry.
It's killed the new car industry, but it's also like older cars.
Oh, I know.
Like people are wringing more life out of their cars, and they're maintaining them, and
they're wringing more money out of used car buyers at the same
fair.
The same time.
I'm biased. My cars have all gone up in value, but at the same time, it's like none of us need a new phone every single year. Like we all participate because we're in the tech industry to various degrees. But do you think that like maybe this is the moment we take a collective breath and say, do we really need to get on this upgrade cycle every year? Because I think it could be good.
Yeah,
I
I'm all
think
for
that's already
slowing
kind of fading. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I'm all for slowing the hype cycle a little bit, especially, as somebody who covers the right to repair beat quite a bit, and how much more and better we could be doing in terms of sustainability and reusing and repairing devices. Anything for me that slows it down just a little bit. I mean, I like gadgets too, but we could slow it down by make at least 10% hype, and maybe
plus, this is purely personal, but September is so damn expensive.
Yeah.
I got to buy so much crap. And it's not just for me, but Jason Howell needs some stuff. Micah needs some stuff. I bought the Framework laptop, Carl, because I wanted to see if you could make a repairable laptop. And I love it unreasonably. It's actually the best laptop I've got now. I'm really a fan. You can open it up. Everything's QR coded. Many of the parts are stock, so you could easily add memory, replace memory and storage. You can replace the battery easily. You're kind of dependent on Framework to make motherboards and batteries, some of the custom components. But I like the idea, and it makes me think you could do the same thing with a phone. I hope somebody will make a repairable phone.
There was a push there. I don't know. Most of them didn't go anywhere, but there was a push there for all the modular devices where you could pull out a part and replace a part and make it, so you could be more sustainable. But every time I see one of those announced, it seems to just disappear completely.
What was it? The Google
Yeah, that's true.
era?
Motorola tried to do that, I think. Right?
Yeah.
And Google Aura, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a couple, and they never seemed to really go anywhere, and I wish they would. And I actually, I have a Google phone, and I was I used to join the $1,000 upgrade cycle, and last year, because of the chip shortage, I bought this, one of the first Pixels that they had with 5G, and I've been perfectly satisfied with every aspect of it.
I sat out last year. I still have the X4 XL.
I'm curious, do you think people outside of, the tech industry and tech journalism upgrade every year?
I know where you're going. No,
that used to be the case.
Don't. No.
I think once phones became once the price for the new iPhone or whatever jumped up to $1,000, I think that's when people were like, I'm not going to do that. Not every year.
I got a call from a woman today on the radio show, because the radio show is where I talk to normals. And I got a call from the woman on the radio show who said, my husband and I have iPhone 6s, and we just found out that iOS is on iOS 14, and we're on 12. So we're going to get a new one. Is the 10R any good? I said, yeah, it's great. It's 3 years old now, but it was very nice in 2019. I highly recommend it.
Well, it's funny because like the iPhone 11 is still so popular.
Yes.
And I think that's part of why the 12 mini also didn't do well, because theoretically, if people are shopping for like whatever the less expensive iPhones are, you could get a really good phone in the iPhone 11 that does almost everything the 12 can do, but certainly enough for the everyday average person.
And I think for a lot of people, it's very smart to wait for the A pixels, not the Pixel 5, but the 5A,
yes,
or the 4A, or because those are pretty much just as good for a lot less money.
Oh yeah, and also like their flagship phones in recent years, I feel like just haven't been doing very well, like, reception wise. Like I feel like a lot of their reviewers were like, hey, this is a good phone, but it's just too expensive and doesn't have everything it should have for a flagship phone, or it has too much. Like with the Pixel 4, I think is the one that had the gesture recognition that I don't think people really used. And the Soli sensor, exactly. Yeah. And then they kind of got rid of that with the next model.
Yeah. Phone companies phone manufacturers have to come up with something to get you to buy. I mean, look what Microsoft has done with Windows. They completely made up a new version of Windows that's basically rounded corners and a centered start menu and said it's new. It's Windows 11. Just to get people to buy.
You've got HDR for games, though. You've got HDR for games.
Okay. Really? Is that going to make a big... And you have to have a card that supports it. Is this FSR? What is HDR? Is
auto HDR. So
it's
basically
the auto
making
HDR.
Old games look good. No, I'm right there with you. I just think...
I think... Will you be able to get auto HDR on 10, or you'll have to get 11 to get that? I think they offered it on 10. It's a DirectX capability.
They had some features for it, as I understood, but it will be like universal, as
Mostly
I understand
they just want people to buy a new computer, and they know they won't, just like they won't buy a new phone unless they give them a reason.
I think slowing it, like I personally am pessimistic. I think the chip shortage is going to affect the auto industry for a long time personally. And I think it's going to affect the tech industry, the wider tech industry for a while. And I don't know. I just think like us taking a breath and thinking how many years we can get out of a Mac, or if we can like start designing things that are more upgradable. I just think at a certain point, we're going to have an adult conversation about that.
Or just go down in flames.
Yeah, one or the other. One or the other.
You have your choice. There's a choice. All right, let's take a little break. This podcast today supported by AT&T. If there are friends and family members you haven't talked to in a while, don't worry. It's never too late to reconnect. To help, AT&T is offering deals on the latest smartphones. Wonder what those could be. It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new, so AT&T is giving new and existing customers their best deals on every smartphone, even the latest ones. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. Visit att.com for details. Thank you, AT&T, for supporting This Week in Tech. There was something you brought up I wanted to follow up on. I have the mind of a sieve. Golly, we could talk about ProtonMail. That's an interesting story because I was always a little hesitant with ProtonMail. Carl, you have a story on Motherboard because ProtonMail shared the IP address, location information with French authorities of a climate activist. Even though they advertised for a long time, we don't log your IP address. How did that happen? Yeah. Were they actually logging IP addresses?
Well, from what I remember, they weren't at the time, but, they still, while being in Switzerland allows them some protection from, certain requests, they still have to adhere to Swiss law, and I think what happened is the French authorities just went through Europol, who then communicated with the Swiss court and said, you pretty much have to do this. And, they had no choice. They really didn't have much leeway. The problem, as you noted, is that the marketing for these services always kind of frames these services as if they're some kind of super heroic privacy miracle cure. We're in Switzerland, which means, people really would never get to see your email. And it's just not true.
Except it's not true.
Right.
And I've always said email was never designed to be private or secure. It's not. That's not. And it's almost impossible to make it so unless you encrypt the data and you arrange ahead of time to get the other guy's public key so that he can, and all of that.
Yeah, like ProtonMail provides good secure service. The problem is that email just is inherently not the most secure thing in the world. If you're sending from ProtonMail to another email service, it's not always going to be secure. So if you're an activist who really is very concerned about hiding your identity, really don't talk to people on email. Use an encrypted messaging service. That's basically the lesson.
Use Signal. Yeah. And it really underscores how valuable metadata is, because there's no evidence in this that they handed over the contents of messages. In fact, they asserted, no, your message is still private. Still, they got the guy, right? They arrested him based on IP address information and device details, both of which they had because they logged that stuff.
And their transparency reports had previously been saying, that happens sometimes, but only in the most extreme cases. And we're in Switzerland again, remember, so everything's pretty safe, But then, to see this happen, and then how quickly they had to change all of their website information to kind of water down their promises. You see that a lot too in, VPN services. VPN services are often treated like just they're inherently some kind of magic security bullet. And I think people who don't know any better get one thinking that they're impervious to any kind of outside surveillance. And that's just not the case. You don't know who you don't know what they're collecting. You don't know if the company's reputable,
If you're a target, it would behoove you not to listen to marketing promises from anybody, including Apple, by the way, because we now know with the NSO Group's Pegasus that Apple people aren't somehow magically protected. Brianna, do you have any OPSEC advice? Do you pursue any OPSEC protocols?
I do. I want to say when I was running for Congress, we looked at the email protocol quite a bit. I would encourage people to go look at the Wikipedia page for how email is sent. I mean, it really is a system from the 80s built on top of another system, built on top of another system. Pray to God our server-side encryption holds and send it out there. I mean, it's a product. If you were designing it today, it would look very different. I do think overall, though, I feel like we're kind of giving ProtonMail a pass, and I'm not. I feel like at the bare minimum, their messaging on this to the public has been a disaster. And a more cynical view is that they're not really going to have their users' backs. So I can tell you this really obviated any instinct I might have to use their service.
Steve Gibson always mocked ProtonMail because on their webpage, they've changed it a little bit, but they would show the Matterhorn and say, our data is securely stored inside a Swiss mountain, so you're safe. And I think we all realize that is kind of a meaningless claim. Email is just not inherently secure, period.
I agree.
And anybody who says it is probably selling you something. And the problem is PGP, which is one way to kind of sort of send secure email, is a pain in the ass. I use it, but it's a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to use it. Nobody knows how to use it. I published my PGP key, and I've been doing so for 20 years. I have yet to receive anything except people saying, testing my PGP key. Can you read this? It's the only thing I ever get. And by the way, you're welcome to send me those. But I guess if we ever had to, we could. But then the metadata is still problematic.
I think like the big takeaway, I mean, this isn't really a takeaway because it's been very obvious for a long time, but it's just another reminder that there really is no such thing as true privacy, at least not, certainly not with email, and I feel like you could say that about almost, anything that you're doing online or through your phone or whatever. It's just 100%. Impossible.
Yeah. I mean, when people ask for private communications, I'll give them my Signal phone. I'll give that out. I'm not, and I'm sure, I think that Open Whisper Foundation, they're good. And I know Moxie Marlinspike does everything he can to make it secure. But if you're putting it on the internet, Steve Gibson, our security guy, always says, really, you're only safe if you go out half naked in the middle of a field, cover yourself with a blanket and talk one-on-one. That's the only time.
And even that, I think, even that's probably not it.
You probably should sweep the field for bugs before you do.
Yeah.
But just because something isn't perfect doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. And I do think there's a conversation to be had. Like, look, let's just level with people. Email, generally speaking, is where the adults are having conversations, right? Like that is the workhorse. It's always been the workhorse. And I don't think it's crazy for us to want a better standard. Something I find really disturbing is iCloud and Gmail are two very, very popular email systems, but they're built on these proprietary backends. They may have an IMAP service or POP service, but ultimately they're doing things their way on their own end. I think it's long past time for our industry to come together and rethink email from the very beginning and come up with something at the very least that is, even if you're hiding the PGP key from people, like have pair key encryption on it, right? Like let's come up with something truly secure that even if the metadata gets leaked, like the message itself can't be leaked. I think this is a really strong priority for our industry, because you can have the ideal like, oh, use Signal. I'm sorry, sometimes I have to send my lawyer something, and I would like a more secure way to do that.
Actually, I mean, if you're going to talk that way, I've been reading more and more articles about people saying, the entire industry's computing infrastructure is based on C and C++, written years ago by people who are no longer around, no longer maintaining it. No one really understands how it works. As long as we're reinventing email, we probably should just reinvent the whole damn thing, rewrite it all.
Yeah. And it's all running on telecom infrastructure that also has all kinds of terrible vulnerabilities.
It's all on SS7, which hasn't been fixed in generations.
Or satellite broadband systems have all kinds of inherently terrible security vulnerabilities. And, the GAO will issue a report or somebody saying that these networks need to be secured, and we'll just ignore them repeatedly.
I was stunned, and I learned this lesson many years ago when Steve Wozniak told me one of his hobbies was to listen in on satellite phone conversations. He said, "Oh no, it's not secure." So he just would like of an evening and turn on the radio and just listen to what people are talking about.
And I think part of the problem too goes back to what you were saying, Leo, about services that are more secure not being as convenient. And not to say that there shouldn't be options for people who need extra privacy. Like Brianna's absolutely right. Like as users of these services, we deserve to have that, and we should be expecting more. But what concerns me is that I wonder. I feel like consumers, at least the mass market, the general public, tends to go for the easiest and most convenient option most of the time. And usually that option is also the one that's the least secure and where you're giving up a lot more of your, personal privacy and information. I mean, it's probably the same reason why a lot of people would use, something like Google Chrome over DuckDuckGo. It's just convenient. Everything's there if you are like a Google user. So, I'm wondering, I hope that companies are still incentivized to build products that have that extra, in-depth layer of security, like what, we would hope to get out of something like ProtonMail, even if it's unsure how big the market for something like that might eventually be.
I think probably 99% of users don't care about anything we've talked about for the last hour. Mm-hmm. Just give me my phone. Let me press a button.
Which is why you need to bake this stuff in inherently into the systems that we're building, just from the ground up.
For sure.
Because we've entered this phase where privacy is sometimes framed as a luxury option. I know telecoms kind of do that. If you pay $5 more a month, you get a little bit more security of privacy. And I don't like that whole shift. Just build it in from the base up and work from there. Because consumers just, especially during a pandemic, who has time?
Isn't there something in like Apple's new iCloud tier or whatever? I'm like hazy on the details, but it was something that they announced, I think, at WWDC, where you can pay to have some kind of extra security feature.
Oh yeah,
I'm doing a horrible job at explaining this.
I will back you up. If you buy Apple One, which is their all-in-one package. I think $30, some bucks, where you get everything. One of the things you get is essentially a relay service on iCloud. It's basically a VPN, and sort of like a VPN. I think it's called iCloud Relay, and I don't know if this is going to come out this week with iOS 15, but iCloud Private Relay. But you have to have an iCloud Plus account. Although
yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who pay for iCloud, I get it with Apple One, but I think a lot of people pay for iCloud. I think everybody will get it automatically. Yeah, not exactly a VPN. It's a relay. It's kind of more like a Tor, kind of, because it hides your IP address because it's routed through. It's really the case, unless Apple or Google does it. Very few individuals, except people who are highly motivated, like, if you're running for Congress, Brianna, most people, you were using the Google Titan keys and all of that, right?
I still do. I still do. They're on the shelf right behind me.
Yeah.
I feel so strongly that, like, we don't ask Americans to keep themselves safe the same way we do with tech.
Oh, come on. We can't even get them to wear masks. What are you talking about? I mean, Americans don't want to be safe.
Look at kids' pajamas. Okay. Look at children's pajamas, right? They're all fireproof, period.
Right.
We don't ask parents to go understand the materials and the fire stuff is for every single set of children's clothes. We just mandate it. And I think it's so unfortunate that this kind of government inherent desire of all governments, not just ours, to kind of keep tabs on the people and prosecute crimes is very much at odds with keeping us safe from, hackers and scams and things like that. It's so frustrating because we don't have any apparatus doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
We don't even have a privacy law for the internet era.
It's crazy.
We don't care. I mean, it hasn't been a priority. I see government report after government report showing how these things aren't secure, and only in the last 2 years have people started to take a lot of it seriously. So I agree 100% in that. Yeah.
So whose responsibility? Is it government's responsibility to mandate, as we do with pajamas, safe computing?
At this point, I don't know. Congress gets obsessed with one privacy issue for about 6 months and then forgets about it 3 months later. So I don't know what the answer is to that. And mandating, what's happening now is the federal apathy on privacy and security has created state by state laws, like California coming in and passing its own internet privacy law. But that comes with its own issues, and it doesn't help somebody in Tennessee, or it doesn't help somebody in any number of states that aren't going to follow California's lead. So we need more federal leadership. We need somebody, we need hungrier, more tech-savvy lawmakers, and that comes down really to the voter to vote them in and stop voting in people who have absolutely no idea what.
And people like Brianna to run.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yes, she definitely agrees with that. Yeah,
I'm going to run again, just not.
Are you?
Not this year? Eventually.
So you didn't even you got to the primary, but you were running against a strong incumbent in the same
That's
party.
correct. Well, here in my district, whoever wins the primary wins the general.
It's a very democratic district.
The other party just isn't here. But I feel very strongly about that. So
you had an uphill battle, but this is the problem: is that people love their personal congressman member. It's very hard to get an incumbent out of office, and even if they're horrible to the rest of the country. People still elect him because they love him. That's my guy. He got the plant built down the road.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh my goodness.
You know what? You can't be a perfectionist. Certainly not in politics, but I think just in general in life. You can't say, well, it should be so much better, because it's messy. This stuff is all messy. We just do the best we can, right?
Yeah.
It's nice. Children's pajamas don't burst into flames anymore. That's good. People drive around with seatbelts. That's good. We saved a lot of lives that way. Can't get people to wear masks, but we're working on it.
There was some news this week about vaccine mandates. I was very excited about.
But you saw the strong pushback. I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, there are going to be now interminable court cases over this.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it. I think it's showing leadership from the White House, But I wonder, in the long run, if it's going to happen. There's such strong pushback.
What to see with SCOTUS, but my point is, like, I think federal leadership is what solves problems like this, and I think the individual approach just isn't going to work.
Not local. You got because opinion. For stuff that is nationwide, even California's privacy law doesn't. I mean, doesn't it have an impact though? I mean, doesn't it help?
So I think they get too ambitious with some of these laws. They're so convoluted and there's so many loopholes and strange caveats that I think they're not helpful. I think it would be great if federal lawmakers could just pass a basic, clean, simple privacy law. Start there. Right. Start simple, like you suggest. A law that basically says you have to be transparent about what you're collecting and selling, just and give the consumer the ability to opt out. Yeah, tell them, be honest with people, give them the ability to opt out. And
maybe incrementalism is a good idea. Yeah,
because we're not doing anything else. I mean, it's ridiculous. You have all these ad tech middlemen, brokers, and telecoms and app makers, and everybody's just hoovering up every shred of data they can and failing to secure it at like T-Mobile. A reputable company who can't secure their stuff.
I had to
5 times in the last.
I had to go to, and it turns out I didn't know there are now 5 credit reporting agencies. I had to go to all. I'm a T-Mobile customer. I had to go to all 5 of them to freeze my my credit account. And
what I love about those is every time that one of those hacks happens, is you get free credit reporting, as if you hadn't gotten free credit reporting when Equifax was hacked.
Wasn't that nice of you?
17 other companies.
Yeah.
Like I've got 17 instances of free credit reporting, and it's not really helping me. I mean, the onus has to be on the company to do a better job securing their stuff.
So just since I mentioned it, and I know people are going to ask me, besides Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, there's also Innovis, INNOVIS. I never heard of them. And I think Chex, I think it's Chex, CHEX, something like that. There are now at least 5 credit reporting agencies, and these other ones go under the radar. But you absolutely, of course, that's where the bad guys are going to go. I
will go for whatever credit reporting agency knows how to update their Apache server with the latest hack, so it doesn't all get out. Well, just make that the tagline. We will patch Apache.
By the way, because these companies hate credit freezes because they make money selling your information to credit card vendors. So as soon as I signed up with all 5 of them for a credit freeze, I started getting immense amounts of email from them. Because in order to sign up, what do you have to do? Give them your email address. So now I'm getting all sorts of solicitations from them because they're desperately trying to make up for the lost revenue. They basically see this as an opportunity to mine me. Chex Systems. Chex Systems is the other one. And there's probably more than those 5. Yeah. I figure, though, maybe, Carl, it's safe to say everybody knows everything about everybody. Like, what am I doing protecting my Social Security number? I'm sure it's out there, right?
Well, I mean, it's, at this point, there's been so many leaks. At this point. The thing that's funny is they always promise that your data is anonymized. A lot of lot of companies will just say, "Oh, it's anonymized, so nothing bad can happen to your data." But, you have so many sections, so many leaks, and so many hacks, and so many
you just cross-reference data that are out there. You just cross-reference it.
I've lost track of the amount of studies that have shown that it takes 2 seconds to compare data from this group from data to the other. It's very silly.
By the way, ProtonMail did what everybody now does. Zoom did this. As soon as they were accused of security issues, you get some big security people on your board. ProtonMail has added Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, to its advisory board. Oh, well, now it's okay. Fixed. Sir Tim says, well, I am a firm supporter of privacy. Thank you, Sir Tim. And I hope the check clears. Okay. I'm trying not to be a security nihilist, a privacy nihilist. That's a term I think Bruce Schneier coined for people who just throw up your hands. It's like, I give up. What are you going to do? It's pretty easy to do. Carl Bodie it's Bodie, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Not Tom Bodette. Carl Bodie wrote an article saying, this is great news. More communities are building their own broadband. Why? Because of COVID? How is that happening?
Well, most people don't like their regional telecom giant, whether it's, Comcast or whoever it is, and most people only have the choice.
It's a monopoly.
83 million 83 million Americans live under a broadband monopoly. Here in Seattle, which is, Silicon Valley North, I have the choice of one provider, Comcast.
Isn't that terrible? It's awful.
And this has been going on for 25 years, literally. We've thrown billions and billions and billions of dollars at this problem. And so I think a lot of these local towns and cities have just gotten incredibly frustrated. So there's about 1,000 different communities that have, in the last decade or two, built their own broadband access that routinely winds up being cheaper, faster, more reliable. The money that the locals spend on this service goes back into the community. The people who work for these providers tend to live in the communities they serve. So unlike a lot of these regional monopolies, the money is staying there and they're more accountable to the locals. So
I'm surprised because I know that when Philadelphia tried this, that they were immediately sued and state legislatures across the country started passing bills prohibiting municipal broadband. But this is despite those bills.
Yeah, there's 17 states that currently have passed laws restricting towns and cities from getting into the broadband business or building their own broadband networks or expanding those networks. But I think COVID really showcased when you saw toddlers like sitting on the sidewalk outside of Taco Bell. To try and get online for class. This has always been a problem, but COVID really accelerated, the awareness. So it really has driven some action.
Good. And so those 17 states forget it.
It depends. Each state has a different variation. Sometimes it'll be an outright ban on building your own local network, and sometimes it'll be worded in a very convoluted way to make it as difficult as possible to raise funds or to expand, or you can't market in this zone, or you can only, if it's like a lot of these networks are built on the back of the local power utility. And so what
Chattanooga did that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. One of the fastest and cheapest fiber providers in the nation.
They have gigabit. Yeah.
But what a law will sometimes do is say you can't expand this network outside of the local utility footprint. Some of the laws will say something like that. And there's no real reason for it outside of the fact that the regional telecom monopolies, who literally ghostwrite most of these laws, just told the state representatives that they didn't want that to happen. And this stuff is super popular. It's bipartisan. There's no excuse for the failure that I've seen in the last 20 years.
The ideological argument is that, well, you wouldn't want government to compete with private industry.
Yeah, but the counter argument is that, a lot of these companies have had 20 years to wire these areas, and they don't want to because the return on their investment is low. But at the same time, they don't want anybody else building their own broadband networks because they might want to go back there someday.
Yeah, we may someday. Yeah.
It's a very cake and eat it too kind of thing for these companies.
Oh, what a surprise.
I'm just thinking about when I ran for Congress, I got to know so much about local budgeting, like more than I ever would have thought. And like here in Dedham, where, a friend of the show, Paul Thoreau, used to live here too. Right. We canceled our trail this year, like a just walking trail, because COVID has destroyed our municipal budget. If you go over to poorer areas of Massachusetts, like Brockton, I can promise you the Brockton tax base is not, going to go for a bunch of broadband development right now. So I'm for you. I'm with you in principle, but I'm also thinking about the people that need it most and thinking about towns like Whitman where they're like, hey, we're just going to have our library open for 3 days a week because we have no money. We're going to have a 4-day-a-week police department. And, I'm thinking about is it really a feasible thing all through the United States? Like COVID is going to affect our local revenues for years.
Yeah, it's not like a silver bullet where you could just do this in every nation. And there's also multiple varieties of different types of ISPs that are built out of this model. Some will be on the back of the local power utility that won't use taxpayer money at all. Some will be a private public partnership that, just works with a local provider like Google Fiber or somebody to deploy to the area. So it's not all just tax-based driven models. I mean, there's a wide variety of models they can explore.
Here in this little town of Petaluma, about 60,000 people, there was a big initiative about 5 years ago to put in community Wi-Fi. Initially, Comcast was going to help, but then they bowed out. Then another provider was going to help. They bowed out. They put some stuff up, but it didn't work. It's gone. And I think it's just a hard thing to do. And there isn't a lot of support from the incumbents, of course. So you really have to have a leader, a civic leader who's going to really push it through.
Yeah, it's like any, I mean, one of the things the telecom companies will do is they'll just say that these are automatic taxpayer boondoggles and you should never try it. But I mean, they're just like any other business plan, and they require a good leader and a sound plan. And look at Chattanooga, that built its own fiber network when Comcast refused to. They've been ranked consistently one of the most affordable, fastest internet providers in the country.
Well, the other good reason to do it is evidence shows everywhere that incumbents were challenged by fiber, whether it was Google Fiber or others, that prices went down, that speeds went up, and even in some communities where there's fiber up to this road, you could see the prices go up as soon as the fiber from the other company's not available. It's like, no competition, great, we're going to raise the prices. It's
and the thing
blatant.
the thing that's frustrating is like the approach to ban these entirely. We've spent literally about 25 years where the U.S. ever since we broke up Ma Bell, the U.S. telecom policy has basically been to do whatever the dominant regional monopolies want. I mean, with some exceptions occasionally. Like net neutrality was an effort to say, okay, maybe we should apply some very basic rules to these companies. And anytime anybody tries to do that, the companies get Congress to freak out. Trying something different will destroy the internet. That's basically their line.
But good news is we live in this great country. We have the best internet in the world, right?
Incorrect. I'm afraid we rank pretty much mediocre on every metric that matters, whether you're looking at
the country that invented the internet, 14th place globally. In speed.
Yeah. We're both 14th in fixed line broadband and 14th in wireless. And I think
at least we're consistent.
We actually got a little worse in fixed line broadband despite a lot of fiber. So.
Wow, we're slower than Canada, Italy, Saudi Arabia. The argument I hear when I mention this is, well, those countries have federally supported or federally owned, government-owned internet companies or telecom companies. Is that always the case?
No, I don't think Canada has too many of those. I mean,
no, Canada's got the worst That's funny because Canada's got the worst telecom companies. Rogers,
yeah, they're very similar. They're
awful.
Very similar to us. They're regional monopolies that have been allowed to write laws for literally 20 years, and then people stand around with a silly look on their face, wondering why things are spotty and expensive and slow.
Okay, well,
I really support just anything. It seems logical to allow these little niche solutions to thrive, so that we can have any kind of creative solution.
Yes,
100%.
It's common sense.
And hey, at least we may only be 14th in terms of speed, but we are the least expensive, right, Carl?
No, pretty much one of the most expensive countries for both wireless and wired.
You're telling me we pay more and get less?
Yeah, and then there's that customer service, which is
God, I love them. I think I saw a survey once. People would rather have a heart attack than call Comcast customer service.
These companies are literally, These companies are literally ranked worse in customer satisfaction and service than pretty much any industry in America. And when you think about the fact that includes banks, that includes insurance, that includes airlines, I mean, that's a feat. And it's been pretty consistent. There's been some minor improvements from some of these companies in the last few years, but it's not great.
You could argue that maybe there's something flawed in our democracy because actually it's not just broadband, it's also medical. This is a lot of areas where we should be number one.
Yeah, I mean,
we just aren't. Education.
When I spent a lot of time covering these companies, I would look at the way the success they had writing bills, and there's literally some of these companies effectively control state legislatures. They can get the bills passed. Any telecom laws that are passed are written by them, ghostwritten by them. And that's, I started learning that. And then like you said, you start looking around at healthcare and other industries, and it's pretty much the same.
I just thank goodness we're really strong on women's reproductive right. Oh, no. Just forget it. Just
I could start drinking on this show.
No. We're going to get upbeat. Let's take a deep break.
I really do think it's a positive change that these communities are taking.
No, I agree. I've been a long-time supporter of municipal broadband. I think it's brilliant. I think it's right. We really ought to do it, and every community ought to look at it. In fact, a good friend of mine was an activist, would go around helping cities set this up, I really think it's the right thing to do, and it helps everybody. It's good for the economy, and frankly, it helps these incumbents because they're going to do a better job because they're getting competition finally. They can't just rest on their laurels or whatever.
Yeah, makes them just
now that all of our jobs are on Zoom. I've taken more Zoom meetings.
Yeah, we need
in
it.
the last month than my entire
Is
life.
Is Starlink going to be the solution for this? Is it going to?
I think anything that applies a little pressure on these companies are good. The problem with Starlink is going to be a capacity one. When you figure there's somewhere between 20 and 40 million Americans that have no access and another 83 million that have a monopoly, that live under a monopoly. And Starlink, I think, with their initial load of satellites is going to reach about 500 to 800,000 customers.
They did just ask the FCC for approval for a total of 30,000 satellites.
Yeah, with a maximum capacity of 42,000 satellites, they should be able to reach about 6 million potential customers.
So it's still very limited. I didn't realize it was going to be that limited.
I mean, come on, y'all. You read the Verge piece on this, like looking at Starlink and what the promises are and what the reality is. It's not good. It's terrible.
Nilay Patel writes, broadband dreams fall to earth.
If you love reading mean reviews of
Nilay's
products,
great
and
on
I
this
do,
stuff.
please read this. It is so, it's a disaster.
Yeah, he actually ordered it and talks about his experience. I actually, because after reading this, I wanted to try it, so I'm on the waiting list for $500 in satellite equipment and $100 a month in service. But I just want to, at some point, I want to be able to just put it on my back and travel and stuff, but I don't know.
I mean, if your only option is satellite broadband or
this is better than anything.
It's going to be a big
better than
upgrade,
Exceed, better than Wild Blue. It's the best.
The problem is there's limited slots, and I think Elon Musk fans are going to gobble up a lot of those to put satellites on their Cybertrucks and stuff.
The sad thing is, as ridiculous as that sentence sounds, it's
true.
Actually, is pretty believable and it's true.
I think it is. The other major
attacked because that was my plan. That was going to be my sixth car. Was a Cybertruck.
With flags, it'd be nice.
Yeah, what's going on with the Cybertruck? I feel like I haven't heard anything.
I think they changed the design a little bit. Like he backed down a little bit on the design.
I think they delayed again. I thought I remember reading another delay.
Yeah.
The other problem with Starlink is that, the affordability thing, like $100 a month plus a $500 charge is not exactly appealing to somebody who's struggling in rural Wisconsin. They need service tiers at around $40 a month. And so it's not really helping those people. I mean, if they can afford it, maybe. And then there's the debate about the light pollution in the night sky, which is a whole other layer
As Nilay Patel says, people are so desperate for good internet that they say, F telescopes. That's right. Screw them. Yeah, they're delaying the Cybertruck to late 2022. He says it will be a glitch in the Matrix.
Oh, okay.
I'm stunned. The company that didn't ship the Tesla Roadster on time, the Model 3 on time, and now the Cybertruck is delayed. I am stunned, Leo.
I just want my robot, a vapor robot that was actually a person in a suit dancing.
Oh, I know. God. And nevertheless, I'm going to praise Elon in a little bit. We're going to take a break, but I'm going to praise Elon a little bit because there is something going on this week that's pretty inspirational that Elon's up to. But first, we'll take a break. Our show today brought to you by IT Pro TV. I know a lot of you, because you listen to the show, I know you're geeks. You might be in IT. A lot of you are. A lot of you interested in a career in IT. A lot of jobs disappearing. One job is not going away. The person who knows how the network works, the person who knows how the servers run, the person who can keep it all secure. A career in IT is a great idea. And the best way to learn all those skills, IT Pro TV. Keep your certs up to date. Get those certs in the first place. They have 7 studios running Monday through Friday all day, 5,800 hours of on-demand IT training. The perfect environment for you to learn IT. This month, it's Microsoft Month at IT Pro TV. They've been doing theme months lately, which is great. More than 800 hours of Microsoft content, including next weekend, their free weekend, September 18th and 19th. There'll be courses in PowerShell, Azure training. Just a great way just taste test of IT Pro TV. They're the Microsoft experts. They can make you one too. They've got courses on MTA, Windows operating system fundamentals. That's 98-349. MTA security fundamentals, 98-367. Microsoft Azure, AZ500, and so many more. IT Pro TV is great because it's entertaining. It's fun. In fact, they call their instructors edutainers, experts in the field, but also really expert at communicating and making IT interesting. And I love IT Pro TV because you can watch it anywhere. It's on your computer, stream it via the web. They have iOS and Android apps. You can get IT Pro TV on your Chromecast, on your Roku, on your Apple TV. So you watch anywhere, listen anywhere, and learn all the time. They divide the courses up into small chunks, 20 and 30 minutes, easy to digest during your lunch break. Or binge. Go on. Just enjoy it. And all the edutainers are staff members, so they're there if you need assistance all day, every day. You'll be learning from your own home on your own schedule, but you will be learning. And if you're interested in a career in IT, there's no better way to do this. I'm really proud of these guys. Tim and Don have just taken off with IT Pro TV. It's really become the place to learn. If you want a career in IT, or you have a career and you want to kind of up your skills, or if you have a team, an IT team, and you want to keep them upskilled, there's nowhere better than IT Pro TV. Go to itpro.tv/twit. If you're a consumer and you're looking for a consumer subscription, we got a great offer, 30% off for as long as you stay active. Just use the code TWIT30, itpro.tv/twit. Offer code is TWIT30 for 30% off your subscription as long as you stay active. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey at IT Pro TV. itpro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30. Thank you, IT Pro TV. I do want to give some credit to Elon because SpaceX is doing something this week that's pretty cool. The first all-civilian mission to orbit. It's scheduled to launch Inspiration4 this Wednesday. And what's cool about this is the Crew Dragon that Elon's used already to send astronauts to the space station. But what's cool about this one is it's for charity. The person who bought this for millions of dollars, Jared Isaacman, is a founder of a payment system, has made lots of money so he can afford to buy this trip. He's also an avid pilot. In fact, at one point I was told that he owns something like 40 fighter jets and has kind of like a fighter jet air show that he finances. He's kind of an amazing guy. 6,000 hours in the air. He's an accomplished jet pilot, ready to fly military world aircraft. But he's also a private citizen. So he'll be Jared Isaacman will be going up. He bought the mission, and then they invited others to go on with them, including this medical assistant. She won a contest, Haley Arsenault. When she was 10 years old, she found out she suffered from a rare form of cancer, osteosarcoma, and she was treated at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. She had a prosthetic femur put in and chemotherapy. She's fine. She's great. She has her physician assistant's degree, and she works at St. Jude, which is cool. She will be going up. When they called her, there's a documentary on Netflix, which I have to watch because they show all of the passengers being called and told they get to go on. They won. And she said, "Are we going to the moon?" No, just to orbit for 3 days, but still real orbit. Chris Sembrowski, who is a space advocate, served in the Air Force, maintained the Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles before leaving for active duty in Iraq. He is also has a BS in aeronautics, and so he'll be going up. When you look at the crew, I feel like he's the red shirt guy. Like, don't go on he would be the guy who would say, "No, I'm not going to go down on the planetary landing mission." They won't be doing that, I don't believe. And then Dr. Sean Proctor. Sean is a geoscientist, wanted to be an astronaut, has followed this for a long time. So she's going to go up. She's also black, which is great. And she's in her 50s, which is also great. So this is a really interesting crew. Now, that's inspiring, right? Now, it's not like Elon's paying for it. They're raising money for St. Jude. I'll be watching on Wednesday. This is exciting. Anything to say about it, right?
I think that's beautiful. I just wish we could do that and also repair our bridges.
Yeah, let's do that.
I wish we could do things like this, which really is beautiful, and I wish we could also repair our infrastructure.
What's cool is
100%.
These are both, Brianna, I know you're a fan of used cars. These are used rockets.
Yeah.
Both the capsule and the booster have already been used. But this is one of the things SpaceX does so well is recover these, refurbish them, and send them out again.
Yeah, when I went down to NASA last time, they were showing us the pad where the Challenger exploded, and Tesla was going to buy it. So I imagine they're using that for part of these missions these days.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. I will be watching. I think it's fairly inspirational. I'll be watching with interest.
100%.
Yeah.
Whenever I go down to Florida, because my husband and I, we vacation down there because Boston is so cold over the winter. It's miserable here. So we escape down to Florida. But I always love going, like NASA's just every bit of that. Like I feel like today you look at our government and our systems, and you're like, everything is so dysfunctional, and you're reading and you're there and you're living a moment where we came together and worked towards a really big goal in like landing on the moon. And it's just so, it gives you something to aim for, right? So I think spaceflight has a huge psychological value that we often discount.
Yeah, Brianna, I'm glad you brought that up, because as you were saying that, I was literally just thinking about the moments in the past year when, obviously this has been a really difficult year and a half for many, many people around the world. And watching spaceflight on TV, watching the SpaceX mission recently, was one of the few times where I feel like I was excited watching the news, and there was just a general feeling of enthusiasm and optimism, around the news cycle that day. And that's something that I feel like you rarely get today, especially in the past year and a half, though. So I'm totally with you on that.
And we could fix the bridges
together. Yeah,
we could do that too.
Yeah, also that.
Yeah, we could do it all. Don't bring your iPhone on a high-powered motorcycle.
Oh man, there goes my plans.
Too late.
Too late.
Too late.
Turns out the vibrations can harm the iPhone cameras. Apple published a support document warning iPhone users the vibrations could shake loose the optical image stabilization gyroscope and, bad things. So, yeah.
But it's hard when you're riding a bike to do it through the gloves, because if you're wearing proper armor, it's not gonna iPhone won't register. It's actually hard to find your way places because we all get around with Apple Maps. So if you're on bike, it's terrible.
You probably shouldn't bring it on rocket launches either. I would imagine that's a similar problem.
Probably not.
Yeah. And apparently there are vibration dampening mounts that you can get. So maybe that's the key to protect your autofocus system. Let's see. What else? I'm trying to do good stuff, happy stuff, positive stuff. Amazon.
Can I tell you about something I absolutely love? Can I plug something?
Plug something.
My favorite thing ever. So Leo, a new game came out. We have been waiting for a good Aliens game for a long time, and Aliens Fireteam came out. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I am so beyond addicted to this game. It is.
Yeah, I've been enjoying this too.
Oh wow, we should friend each other and play. Are you on PS5 by chance?
Yeah, I'm on PS5. Yeah, I'll play with you.
Oh my God, we're going to talk after the show. No, it's a co-op 3-person game. So you have to work really, really, really closely with other players. The problem with online games is you're shooting each other and killing each other. Here, you have to really closely cooperate to survive and really know your roles. And it's 100% loyal to the guns and the atmosphere of the universe. It is such an adrenaline rush. I love this game.
And it's only $40 too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sam Mashkovich said, finally, co-op action worthy of the franchise. So can I play Ridley or how's this
Nope.
work?
You create your own custom colonial marine, and we'll have to play as him or her.
It's first person?
No, it's third person, over the shoulder, like Resident Evil.
Okay. But you can have two real life friends in there with you.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you don't have friends, they replace you with the white android, the what
Alpha
did they call
and
them? Alpha and beta.
Can you play co-op, or is it just online only, or like local multiplayer? Or is it just
Unfortunately
online?
not. I'd love to.
Yeah,
Lisa, my wife,
Yeah.
Lisa, and your husband, Frank, have been saying, we want to just sit on the couch and play a game together.
Yeah.
Yes,
Those games are
exactly.
gone. Those traditional couch co-op games. The last one was GoldenEye or something. I mean, it's been a long time.
It's far too rare.
Yeah,
I don't get
I
it.
guess I guess those go-kart, Mario Kart and stuff you can do that with.
Wasn't there one that came out a couple of years ago? I feel bad. I think I actually bought it, and then I just somehow never got around to playing it. I think A Way Out might be what it's called, but that's like a couch multiplayer game. But I haven't gotten around to playing it, but I always look for games. My husband and I like to play games like that together, and we're always looking for new stuff to try. So hopefully one day.
This looks
Overcooked is like that, and Moving Out is like that. So it's a very cartoonish game. So you're trying to go into rooms of an apartment, and two people are on two different sticks. You're like trying to move a couch out.
Oh, I hate
of
games
the
like
house.
that. That's frustrating. I hate that.
Yeah, you can call it divorce
Too much
mode.
like real life. I don't know. Not going to do it. I'd rather kill an alien. This looks very dark, like dark, scary stuff.
Oh, but it's an adrenaline rush. It just never lets up the
Are there
pressure.
jump
It's
scares?
really
Are they
good.
going to jump out at you?
Yes.
Yeah, there's some jumps, and it really captures everything from the films really well, down to like the sound of that machine gun. They've done a nice job. I pretty much only play co-op now for some reason. At some point I just got tired of online PvP stuff, and I mostly just look for co-op games.
Same.
So the difference is instead of shooting at Brianna, you'll be shooting with Brianna at it.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, if you accidentally shoot me, I will die, and we will fail our mission because you're not playing well.
They have friendly fire. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. Well, the base level, there's no friendly fire. So as you get better, you pretty much level up your character, and as the higher levels come in, then you start implementing harder scenarios where you can actually hurt your
Do you
teammates.
have to have a PS5 for this?
Nope. PS4,
I think it's on everything.
Xbox, PC, everything.
But you can only play other PS5 people if you're a PS5. Is that right?
I think PS4 people can play with PS5 people.
Cross-platform's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. This looks fun. Well, I don't have a PS5, so you guys have fun. I'll just be over here on my Xbox, my old Xbox. I couldn't get either of those. They're all talking about chip shortage. Yeah, how'd you get a PS5?
Christina can get literally anything.
Christina Warren is like the queen of the. She said, "Oh, Leo, you should have called me. I could get you one."
Yeah.
What is she? Is she some sort of black market?
I don't know
contacts?
if it's mob connections or what, but she got me an RTX 3090. She got me a PS5. She got me an Xbox Series X. So Christina's a good friend to have around, Leo. You should.
Christina, of course, is co-host with Brianna Wu and Simone de Rochefort of Rocket, which is a great show on Relay FM. And congratulations to Relay FM. They have now raised, is it $1 million?
Mm-hmm. It's over $1 million, I think.
Over $1 million for which charity?
St. Jude.
St. Jude. You guys like St. Jude too?
We do.
Nice.
Yeah, of course. Steve, our co-founder, he had a child that nearly died of cancer, and St. Jude literally saved his life. So he feels rather indebted to helping them. So really believe it or not, I'm probably going to be playing Aliens Fire Team with Micah for the fundraiser that we're doing towards the end of the month. So you can watch Micah either die or live. I don't know which one.
Micah Sargent, love the guy. Of course, he's our host of iOS Today and Tech News Weekly, and works with me. He'll be on the Apple event on Tuesday, but it doesn't strike me as like a great gamer. Like the guy you'd want to go into an alien infested cave with, sort of. But maybe
Burke survived. Maybe Micah will. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Okay. I'll be watching that one. That sounds like fun. That sounds awesome. All right, Amazon. Lots to talk about. By the way, Amazon really being pissy about SpaceX. They tell the FCC that. Well, let me just read the quote from this FCC filing, because they don't want Starlink to launch all these satellites. Quote, whether it's launching satellites with unlicensed antennas, launching rockets without approval, building an unapproved launch tower, or reopening a factory in violation of a shelter-in-place order, the conduct of SpaceX and other Musk-led companies makes their view plain. Rules are for other people, and those who insist upon or even simply request compliance are deserving of derision and ad hominem attacks. Wow.
Yeah, the fighting between all of them has been pretty funny. Viasat has also been engaged in those filings where they just kind of...
Yeah, they didn't want the satellites. But also it's Amazon seems to be like they're suing Microsoft. They were mad about the Jedi contract, and then there's this NSA contract. It seems like if you can't compete, go to court.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Amazon, by the way, won the NSA contract, so maybe I think it's Microsoft suing them. So what goes around comes around. It's both sides of the matter. Why are top streamers leaving Twitch? Is the Washington Post right about this? They lost. Oh my God, Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman Batar. Oh no. Okay, that's not much of a story.
I'm not a Tim the Tap Man.
I'm sorry.
No, there is a story here. I mean, Twitch is not paying their really big people as much as they used to.
Hey,
so,
this killed
YouTube,
Microsoft's Mixer. Be careful.
Absolutely.
Be careful. They're going back to YouTube, huh?
They are. YouTube is backing up trucks of money and handing it to them. And, I realize like maybe y'all don't watch as much Twitch as I do, but this is the AM equivalent of the Zoomer generation. I mean, you've got some of the top political shows are on there, like Hassan. Like this matters. So
we're on Twitch.
Yep.
We're on Twitch.
Yeah.
When I was playing Valheim, I streamed it on Twitch. Actually, my experience with streaming on YouTube didn't seem like it was as good as streaming on Twitch. I thought Twitch did a better job of quality and so forth, but I may be wrong. I don't know. I'm a tyro at all this. It was fun though. I liked it. I'll probably be going back on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/clubtwit. with my Valheim primetime stream, because we're getting an update to Valheim on the 16th. But it's, you know what? It's gonna be so depressing because it's mostly new cooking items. I'm gonna do a Valheim cooking show. It's not okay. It's not aliens. I'm just saying, it's Vikings and kind of stuff. Let's see. Amazon is getting in the TV business. Not clear who's making these TVs for them, but these are very inexpensive, really kind of, let's be honest, low-end TVs. The Amazon Fire TV Omni series, that's the expensive one, and the value-priced 4 series.
Lots of money to be made on data collection.
Yeah. Isn't that the case?
The thing that amazes me is I went shopping for a TV and I just wanted a dumb TV that didn't have any of the smart internals, and literally it doesn't exist.
No, you can't get them.
You can't buy a TV that's just like a dumb monitor.
If you did, it would be so expensive. Sorry, Lisa?
Oh, I was going to say also, I feel like in general, like not from a privacy standpoint, but just in terms of usability, I feel like it's much easier to use a Roku or an add-on, any kind of device that you add on to a TV rather than the built-in software anyway. It's just usually not a good experience, and it's slow and it's not as easily upgradable. So yeah, I don't know. I was very anti-smart TVs for a long time, but
I am 100%
I feel like
with
it's
you.
hard.
But
it's impossible to fight against it.
No,
It really is
all you
impossible.
can do is just not connect the TV to the internet. You're going to get all that smart stuff, but just whatever you do, don't connect it to the internet because it's spying on you like crazy.
100%. Yeah,
But then
mine
there's some
asks me for
TVs
my Wi-Fi all the time, and I just will not give it to it because I don't need anyone
Well, that's the
knowing how much
downside. Yeah.
24 I watch.
My
you know?
Hisense keeps saying, not connected to the internet. What's the matter with you?
There's some TVs, if you disable the internet functionality, you actually lose some other functionality. Like if you tell it you don't want to be tracked, I forget which TV it was, but there was a story a couple of years ago that if you opted out of, or if you tried to turn off the internet connection, then like other important parts of the television just wouldn't work anymore.
This is a larger story. I think that a lot of apps, a lot of products are subsidized by spying on you. And so we're demanding lower cost TVs. For instance, these are very inexpensive TVs, but the price you pay is that they're making up the difference by spying on you.
Yeah.
It's like very Black Mirror-ish, like that whole example. I forgot what company it was, but I feel like I remember what you're talking about, Carl, with the TV that had some of its functionality turned off if you turn off the tracking aspect. And doesn't it kind of sound like Black Mirror? Like, wasn't there literally an episode where like they like forced you to watch ads or something like that, or else your screen wouldn't work? I don't remember, but if it doesn't exist, it sounds like it probably would.
Also, when Consumer Reports reviews these TVs, often they're not very secure either. Like there was that scandal about Samsung collecting like microphone audio data and then not encrypting it at all and storing it just openly somewhere. So these companies collect that data, which is, it's how people make money, but at least secure your stuff, which they don't really do that either. So there has to be some kind of improvement there.
I feel like this is a hard story because on one hand, I really want the TV industry disrupted. It is I don't know if y'all have bought a TV recently, but it is a nightmare of trying to figure it out. I mean, all the different sizes, just even if you want a Samsung and the number one feature you want is low latency for gaming, like you're going through SKUs and trying to figure out, is it this year's model or last year's model? Like the whole thing is just, it feels like a broken industry. So I like Amazon getting into it, but they're the worst people to like do something like this. So,
and not to mention all the jargon too. Like the TV industry, I feel like is infamous more so than other aspects of the tech industry for throwing in buzzwords that are literally just marketing terms that don't mean anything, and that makes it even harder to buy something. Like I think every company has their own like marketing term for like the type of display panel that it is. And like, if you're trying to buy something, it's super confusing. It's awful.
Oh yeah. Good luck. I mean, I'm convinced Samsung chose QLED for its LCD TVs because it sounds like OLED.
Right.
And they'll mistake it. I should mention that the Value TV shootout, Value Electronics does this every year where they bring in the top TVs, usually just a handful of them, and then bring in experts to review them. That's this week. Actually, it's going on today. It's today and tomorrow. So at some point, now the problem is this doesn't cover the whole waterfront. On the 4K TVs, there are only 4 because they just kind of rule out anybody who's not going to be like the Amazon TV. That's not going to be in the running. This year, they'll look at a Hisense. They have a new technology called dual cell LCDs, the LG OLED, the Samsung OLED, and a Sony OLED. And then they're also going to look at 8K TVs. It's the first time they've done that. And there'll be LG, Samsung, and Sony. And then so they get all these experts in a room looking at the same TV with the same content. They're pre-calibrated and then voting on what they call the king of TVs. This is something every year I pay attention to.
Yeah, I went with the LG. I think it was the LG CX. It was like the year-old model. It's just beautiful.
A good one.
Just really beautiful for gaming.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really
I don't
great.
use it for gaming. I just watch TV on it. I use it for gaming. Oh, because you have a PS5, of course.
Yeah. It does HDR. It does. Right. It's 30 frames.
Is it 120?
per second.
Is it 120 frames per second? Can you go up to that?
I think it's up to 60, but it's 120 hertz, right? I think that's the real big improvement.
What's
for
the
gaming.
distinction? Now I'm
beyond my
confused.
pay
I
grade.
thought they were the same thing. So the PS5 will either do 4K or 120 frames per second. Although that's, I think, a limitation of the games. That may change in time.
I get confused by
The
this.
reason I know this, I feel guilty because we did get a PS5 for Michael, our 18-year-old, and I said, oh no, you need a 4K TV, but I got him a 60 hertz. And I feel guilty, so I have to explain to him, oh, Michael, don't worry, because you can't do both. But what I should have done is get 120 hertz. I was just stupid. So
I've been going the other way and trying to find a really good CRT for speedrun.
What?
I've been obsessed
Why?
with finding it. So the thing with the CRT is there's zero lag. You can have the best HDMI
latency
component to
at all. Yep.
HDMI converters in the entire world. The FrameMeister RetroTink makes a great one, but you're still introducing 1 to 2 frames of lag in there. For you to do the Princess Peach Vine Jump, it's a 3-frame window. So that lag really, really matters. So serious speedrunners for vintage games like me, we are constantly looking for old CRTs to bring in and like love. So I don't want I want a PVM from like a radio station. That's the holy grail, is finding like that professional video monitor. And I actually have hardware that will hook up. The analog is it's a modern Super Nintendo / Sega. They have all these different models of it, but it's re-engineered for HDMI. And they released a product that will reverse engineer their modern SNES and make it run on a CRT. So now that I finally got one of those, I desperately need to find this.
you are still the 8th fastest.
I think I've been bumped to 9th.
Oh,
I've been bumped to 9th, but that's because I'm working on other games.
If we hadn't already done this on a recent twit, I would go through the whole thing.
No, please don't. Please don't.
I just think it's hysterical. And I was searching for this, and I found out you're tweeting, how come I can't get a vaccine? I am the 8th fastest Princess Peach Mario 2 speedrunner. How
That's
do I
right.
get the vaccine, huh? Yeah, we got to
very
protect
important.
our most important assets in civilization. In case something happens, we should put you in the Svalbard speed vault. No, it's a seed vault, but we could call it the Speedrunner Vault and put you all in there. It's for seeds, but it's funny. I don't cover Facebook stories very much anymore because I'm not on it, but I guess we should do a couple of Facebook stories. We're going to take a break. We will do that in a moment. Speedrunner, Princess Peach, 3-frame vine jump expert, Brianna Wu, is with us. She's also the executive director of Rebellion Pack at rebellionpack.com. So nice to see you. I hope things go well in the Guardian Angels. Also with us, Carl Bodie from all over, Motherboard and Tech Dirt and great tech reporters. Wonderful to have you on. Your first time on Twit, and already it feels like you've been here forever. I'm thrilled to have you. Thank you. And also from CNET, senior editor at CNET, Lisa Edichico. It's nice to see you again, too.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Finally got you back on. Our show today brought to you by, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm very well rested today. My Casper. I slept like a champ last night. Casper, there it is, my Casper mattress. We have so many of these. The kids have them. Relatives have them. We just keep buying Casper mattresses. It's an affordable and nice gift because you'll love your tomorrow with Casper, the new Casper cooling collection. Oh man, has everything you need to sleep cool all night long. Winter or summer, you really want to sleep cool, but especially during these hot summer nights, having the Casper cooling collection is just a boon. The new mattresses with the snow technology, they call it the Wave Hybrid Snow Mattress, keeps you cool for 12 plus hours. Actually, literally pulls heat away from your body for sustained temperature regulation. You don't feel cold, you feel comfortable. And there's that nice, fresh, cool to the touch feeling. And of course, your tomorrows are much improved. Better bedding, also important. That's why Casper's Hyper Light sheets are designed with an innovative grid weave. You can see how cool I am right now, that lets the air flow through for maximum breathability. The lightweight duvet gives you optimal temperature control without sacrificing plush comfort. And, of course, Casper's breathable mattress protector improves the coolness of the bed even further by allowing air to flow between your body and your mattress. There's nothing like it. It's that feeling when you first put your feet down in the sheets and they feel so cool and fresh, or maybe when you flip your pillow over and it's nice and cool. Oh, that's the feeling. You'll just go, oh, it's so good. And as always, Casper offers free shipping and free returns. We love our Caspers. When it comes to a better night's sleep, Casper's new cooling collection has you covered. Focus on tomorrow. Let Casper handle the rest. Explore Casper products, mattresses, sheets, pillows, and more. We have that glow lamp, too. I love that. At Casper.com/twit1. CASPER. Not like the ghost. CSPER.com/twit1. Offer code is twit1 for $100 off select mattresses. That's offer code TWIT1 for $100 off select mattresses. Exclusions apply. See Casper.com for more details. Thank you, Casper, for a good night's sleep. And thank you, dear Twit listener, for using that special address so they know you saw it here, Casper.com/twit1. Do we have the teaser, the trailer, talking about what a great week this was? Watch.
Roomba certain models of Roomba will now dodge pet poo so it doesn't spread it all over your floor. Sorry, just thinking about the ML engineer who had to program the data set for is poo, is not poo, is poo, is not poo.
Previously on Twit. This week in Enterprise Tech.
Apple is rolling out the ability to add driver's licenses and state IDs to the Wallet app.
By going to a phone, the Apple Wallet in this case, what is passed is typically a one-time use token. Even if it's intercepted, even if it's captured, it's useless.
Hands-on photography.
Tyra picked me out of Instagram, and she explained that I was the first for the magazine, and basically I deserved to be on Vogue. I deserved all the other, great magazines, fashion magazines. So.
Tell it!
This week in Google.
Whole Foods is going to be getting the Amazon Just Walk Out technology.
What if my wife and I are both shopping? Not that happens because she thinks I'm a disaster at a grocery store, but just theoretically.
I'm a disaster. I'm not allowed to go to the grocery store.
What do you guys do?
There's a similar rule in place here to prove it right.
You two, all three of you?
Why isn't the ketchup next to the tomatoes? It's not logical. I can't ever find anything.
Ketchup does not belong.
Okay, Jeff, your reason is silly.
Twit.
Oh, that's cringy. Ketchup's a condiment. Tomatoes are a vegetable. That's obvious. I don't understand it. We also had a great event in Club Twit this week. The first Ask Me Anything, our community manager and host of Hands-On Photography, Aunt Pruitt, hosted a Ask Me Anything with Micah Sargent. Was great, fascinating, wonderful. We love Micah. If you are a Club Twit member, that'll be on your Twit Plus feed. If you're not a club member, well, get on in there. It's $7 a month. You get ad-free versions of all of our shows. You also get access to the fabulous Club Twit Discord. I see, Brianna, you're in there having some fun with the people talking about speed running. You also get access to our Twit Plus feed, which is, there's a lot of conversations that happen outside the shows as we are getting set up. There's stuff off the air. There's our Ask Me Anything stuff. So that's on the Twit Plus feed. All of that $7 a month. For more information, go to twit.tv/clubtwit. Actually, what you're really doing is supporting what we're doing. And I appreciate it. It really makes a big difference for us. And we're very grateful. There's now, I think, almost 4,000 Club Twit members. That's really nice to have you. We appreciate it. Twit.tv/clubtwit. You don't have to be a member of Club Twit to go to Alaska with us. We are still on for Alaska in July. You're all invited. Cruise.twit.tv will be going on the Holland America Eurodam July of 2022. And I've been just looking at one of the excursions I really want to go on, and we invite everybody who goes on should come with us on the excursions. Paul Thurrott will be there too, by the way, and his wife, along with Lisa and my wife Lisa and me. We're going to go there. You take a helicopter to a glacier, where you will be met by a dog team, and you get to mush a dog team across the glacier. Look, if the world's going to melt, at least I'm going to do this first. So that's all. I'm just saying, if you want to, last chance, see a glacier, kids, go to cruise.twit.tv. And that's all the plugs for the.
I did one of those trips not long ago. And it's really beautiful.
Oh, it's so beautiful up there. I took one of those small little pontoon planes, which I know are not the safest thing in the world. But they flew you out over amazing mountains in the middle of nowhere and landed you on a crystal clear lake. And you got out and just stood on the pontoon edge of the boat and looked out at the clear, perfect water. I suppose we should just stay home and not drive our cars and not cook with gas and just eat raw vegetables that we grow ourselves. But I feel like there's so much stuff to see, and I don't want to ruin it by going to see it. I don't know what to do. We buy carbon offsets for all of our trips. In fact, for the business as well. I don't know. Maybe is that just a salve to my conscience? I hope it's doing some good.
No, I think it matters. I think that real action on climate change has to come from the top. So, I think we can admit that no individual can solve or just, or blow up this whole situation.
I probably shouldn't take a helicopter to a glacier, though.
Maybe cancel that.
Probably shouldn't do that.
It's so beautiful up there. It's really.
I'm really conflicted because I love to travel. I want to see it. I don't want to be part of the problem. I mean, we do, we have solar panels all over our roof. We generate as much of our power as we can. We're getting rid of all the liquid, LPG and the natural gas stuff in our house and drive electric vehicles. But you're right. I mean, how much can you do? Especially when Brianna's driving her polluting Porsches all over the place.
Yes.
Nothing I can do about that. You're with me. I'm sure you care a lot and you want to save the planet, but I feel guilty about it. I really feel? I feel envious that my dad's generation could go out and do things like buy a V8 car, like a V8 Corvette. Yeah, but it's
drive
because
it and
they
just
did.
Not stress it. I know.
We're
well, to a point. I think that manufacturing emissions play a much larger role in that. Airlines play a huge role. I mean, it's the leadership on this. 100%.
There's also a lot of stuff, but everybody should do their part as best we can. Oh, well. Facebook. Let's talk about Facebook. So much more cheerful. Sent flawed data to misinformation readers, which on the face of it seems like if you're going to send information to misinformation researchers, it should be misinformation, but that's not how it works. More than 3 years ago, Facebook trumpeted a plan to share data with researchers about how people interact with posts and links on the social network after a lot of criticism, so that academics could study misinformation and help Facebook handle it. They've been using that data for 2 years for many studies. Turns out, according to internal emails and interviews with the researchers, the data included interactions with only half of Facebook's U.S. users, the ones who engaged with political pages enough to make their political leanings clear. Not all of them, even though the company said it was all of them. And so researchers are saying things like this undermines the trust we have in Facebook. And you had trust in Facebook?
I was just going to say, what trust?
Tell me about that. Yeah. Facebook says, we sincerely apologize for by the way, of course they do. For the inconvenience this may have caused, we'd like to offer as much support as possible.
At least they're sincere,
They're sincerely apologizing.
Yeah. This time we mean it.
47 different projects, researchers, all of whom basically were told, the data you got, it wasn't good data. So anyway, welcome to the club. Twitter's been trying a lot of interesting things lately.
I still don't understand how communities work. I saw you talking about that on one of your other shows.
Yeah.
And whether they're trying to shovel the Reddit model into an app that really isn't built
Reddit or Facebook groups or Google Circles or Yeah, there are a lot of examples, and this never seemed like that was what Twitter was about. But
like, I'm all for anything that kind of narrows the audience down, because you always have those collisions between Aunt Bertha and your punk rock friend from college, and in places like Facebook, and anything that allows me to narrow down the people I'm talking to and allow for better conversation is good. But I just don't know if Twitter is maybe the right.
It's so crazy though. Like Twitter, the things people want from Twitter are so darn straightforward. Editable tweets.
Yeah,
responding to harassment reports.
Please.
Maybe doing something about
No, but we got this for you. If you're into dogs, weather, sneakers, skincare, or astrology, we've got a group for you.
Right. It's crazy. Like, do something about the randos with 8 digits after their name.
Yeah.
I've never had a good conversation on Twitter with someone with 8 numbers after their name ever.
That's actually we should be able to write a regular expression that filters them out.
Yeah.
Seems simple. Communities, they are trying a little bit to give you more control over who you hear from. There's something they're trying, they call it a soft block feature. You can remove a follower without unfollowing them.
So kind of like muting them, or is that similar to muting someone if you're removing them without following them, I guess?
So
I don't know.
People who are following you, let's say you've got somebody with 8 digits after his name. Actually, in their example, Twitter only has 3 digits after his name. But anyway, so apparently they're aware of this issue. You can, and I think you can do this right now. It's certainly on my timeline you can. You have to use the official Twitter app, or not app, but webpage. You can click the 3 buttons on the right and say, remove this person from your followers. That person will not be notified, and they can refollow you later. But for a little while, until they notice it, you won't show up in their timeline. It's called a soft block, I guess. Yeah, these seem like...
They find out eventually?
Eventually they say, I am not seeing Leo's tweets anymore. Let me see what happened. Oh, I guess I unfollowed him by accident and refollow him.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
There's also a trick you can do with Twitter. I don't know if it still works. If you block somebody and then immediately unblock them, it will cause them to no longer follow you.
That's a soft block. Yes, that's the same thing. Yes.
Yeah. I guess so. They're just basically putting that into.
Oh yeah, people seem to like that. So let's put it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I ask my wife this all the time. Why are you on Twitter? Why don't you just leave it?
It's great. I mean, I get a lot of career connections from there. You get to ask your fellow Twit hosts when they want to play Aliens versus Aliens Fireteam with you, which I just did. It's got a lot of career value, I think.
And the flow of information on there is so quick. If you're a journalist or a reporter on a beat, the data you see on there is going to be there, hours before it shows up in any news outlet. So
I understand. If somebody dies, I immediately go to, or if I've heard that somebody's dead, I immediately go to Twitter, because they
like Rihanna. I also most of my connections have come through Twitter. Most of the people that I've worked with, most of my freelance work has come through Twitter and talking to people on Twitter and forging connections.
But that's kind of what we think about Twitter, is that the journalists love it.
Yeah, if I wasn't a journalist, I think I would be getting offline a lot more. I would not be on most of these social media platforms. I'd be out, working in a pet sanctuary somewhere, because
that's every tech journalist's dream, is to leave social media and work in a pet sanctuary.
It's very punishing. I mean, just even if you're not registering the headlines you're seeing, and the conversations you're seeing, and it's I find it very oppressive, and I've had to really work with distancing myself from it more reasonably, but still maintaining connections to people I work with and the beat that I cover, so I'm not losing track of the information stream. And it's a hard balance, and there's no real.
It is a really hard balance.
It's terrible.
But we love TikTok.
Yep.
Right?
I think I'm too old for TikTok. No, I was just going to say.
TikTok now has overtaken YouTube for the average watch time.
Wow.
So basically, App Annie says TikTok has upended the streaming and social landscape. Because YouTube has so many users, it still has is number one for overall time spent. But for average time, users in the UK and the US spend more time on TikTok than on YouTube.
I really like it. I mean, I didn't really understand Snapchat. I didn't really get into a lot of apps, but I like TikTok.
Yeah, Carl, I'm there with you as well. I feel like I never really got that into Snapchat, but I don't know. TikTok's algorithm is just really good. Like, as much as I hate to admit it, I give them barely any information about my interests or myself or what I like. But it's like a rabbit hole. I don't know. Like, that stat does not surprise me because I don't go on TikTok very often, but when I do, I feel like I could just scroll like forever, basically.
You sound like that most interesting man in the world. I don't go to TikTok very often, but when I do.
No, honestly, I don't, because I feel like it is a little addicting, but also I feel like
you can't
when
stop.
I just want something to like compulsively scroll, I feel like it's not always a video. I'll kind of go to Twitter for that. Otherwise, I do try, like to what Carl was saying, I do try to distance myself and be more conscious about it, because if I don't try to kind of cut down on the screen time or not compulsively reach for my phone to check something, it's just out of control.
I think that Twitter is for doom scrolling.
Yes, that's true.
TikTok is just pure dopamine. It's just
exactly. Yeah. It's all very positive. Like when I'm, in a rabbit hole on TikTok, it's because I'm looking at really cute pet videos or like something that makes me feel happy, not, all of the horrible things that are happening out there in the world.
Also,
I think you all are being a little too hard. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've just yesterday, like someone's like, hey, look at this Atlantic article that I never would have clicked on in a million years. You read it, it's deeply substantive. I mean, sometimes you just got to follow the right people. I'm on car Twitter, which is completely different than political Twitter, because it's just like, look at this cool thing that this person's doing. Look at their great ride. Look at this car that's coming out. I mean, you just got to change your people,
Yeah, that's true.
That's what everybody always tells me is, you're just not following the right people. But I don't know. The only reason I still have a Twitter account is because my wife says, you have to retweet this. I said, okay, fine. So every time I do, invariably somebody will say, are you back on Twitter? No, I am not. To show you how successful TikTok is, Amazon has announced that not only in their TVs, but Amazon Fire TV sticks and other devices will now have a TikTok channel. So you get your TikTok on your big screen. I don't feel like this is a good trend. I feel like this is encouraging short attention spans. But
I don't know if people want to watch TikTok on a bigger screen either, right?
It belongs on a little vertical thing, yeah.
Right.
What do Florida, Texas, and Brazil have in common? All three have passed laws banning social networks from removing posts from politicians. Texas governor just signed the bill, Governor Abbott, prohibiting social media giants from blocking users based on viewpoint. I mentioned earlier, I think that the Florida law has been paused by the courts. Maybe the same thing will happen in Texas. I'm thinking Bolsonaro probably doesn't have to worry about that so much. This is they don't have a First Amendment though. See, that's the difference. In the U.S., it's illegal for government to restrain or do anything about speech. Not that they don't, but it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. I don't think Brazil has the same kind of protections. He's also up for election next year, which might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Let's see what else here. Kind of down to the bottom of the barrel. Always some of the most exciting stuff down here.
Did you see Facebook's finally made the smart glasses not look ridiculous?
Oh,
but they're just like the Snapchat spectacles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
tried
to
more
glasses.
They tried to claim that if you put tape over the light that indicates you're recording, that you're violating their terms of service. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, please.
I did.
Yeah.
They don't. No, the thing about the Snapchat spectacles, it was very obvious you were wearing glasses with cameras. These are Ray-Bans. Yeah. They look like regular sunglasses.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I feel like something like this, no one's going to wear it if it doesn't look like a normal pair of glasses. But at the same time, you do have to make it look distinct enough so that people know what it is and people know that this is a device that might possibly be recording. So it's just I think a weird kind of middle ground to balance, and I don't know what the answer is for that.
Where's the light? Is it somewhere prominent?
It's right above the camera, I think, on the right side. There's a little white light that pops up, and somebody took like a little bit of duct tape and painted it black. And I think BuzzFeed asked Facebook about this, and for some reason
that's illegal. You can't do that. We're going to come and get you.
Yeah, I don't know what they were.
You guys at CNET reviewed it. I don't know if you've played with them, Lisa, or not yet. Is the image quality good?
So I haven't personally played with them yet, but it's
$300. What?
Yeah, exactly. It's $300, and it's not it's not really the smart glasses that you think of when you think of smart glasses.
No.
There's no display. It's basically,
camera.
It's kind of like the Echo frames and like the Bose. It's a cross between Snapchat spectacles and like the Amazon Echo frames, except, it's not, obviously Amazon's is very much built around Alexa and stuff like that. But this is really just built to, I think, basically play music and kind of act like
so they do
wireless
have
earbuds.
Okay.
They have speakers, yes. And then there's the camera, of course, for taking photos and whatnot.
But there's no kind of heads up display. There's no information fed to you in any way.
I don't think so. No. At least, I haven't used them, so I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's not what these glasses are meant to be.
If I see Scott Stein in the men's room, I'm going to avoid him. I'm just saying, especially he's wearing these. The pictures actually look pretty good. He took a lot of images with it. And they seem like they're okay. Video
I don't know.
too.
I feel like we were all worried about like a surveillance state being ushered in with the iPhone. I remember this exact same conversation. And
Google Glass, of course, too. Yeah.
And that as well, though it didn't have obviously as much breakthrough. And, it's Project Veritas. And, there have certainly been things like the Central Park dog walker situation. Like there have certainly been situations where people have been caught on tape and it's been awkward for them, but overall, I don't feel
that's been like the story of the year. I mean,
I've had people
George
secretly
Floyd.
record me, and record it. But I don't know.
On balance, is it a pro or a con? I mean, if you're a teenager these days, I would be terrified that I'm completely out of control of my persona because every other teenager has a camera. I can't do anything. On the other hand, man. It's changed policing in America, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Is it a pro or a con?
I think there's pros and cons. I mean, I think that's the case with any kind of technology.
Yeah.
Like if there's a use for it, it's progress, right? But also there's a lot of downsides to it. There's a lot of things that you need to be careful about. And I feel like in more recent years, especially with social media, we've seen that sometimes we realize what those downsides are way too late. And we spend years trying to course correct. And instead of like thinking about some of these, possible bad situations from, the ground up, which is difficult. But yeah, I think there's pros and cons, you know, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Time flies. What else? El Salvador. It's official. Bitcoin is their official currency. They bought 200 Bitcoin a day before their Bitcoin law became effective and will be buying much more. And of course, how does the price of Bitcoin respond? It drops precipitously. I don't even understand how this works. I don't even understand how a country could use Bitcoin instead of dollars, which El Salvador used to use. It's their legal tender. They're going to use the Chivo e-wallet preloaded with $30 of Bitcoin for everybody who downloads it. I don't, it's going to be an interesting experiment.
I feel old. Anytime NFTs and Bitcoin, I feel old and confused, and I'm trying my best to understand it, but I'm not doing a very good job.
That's all right. It's not for you.
Yeah, I've noticed. I get it, but the NFTs in particular, I'm still trying to get my head around.
I know.
I'm very pessimistic on NFTs. I have made back a good chunk of the money I spent on my 3090 doing Ethereum mining.
There you go. My daughter's all about issuing her artwork as NFTs. We've had Kevin Rose on the show. He owns We talked about that was going on in the show. He owns one of the very first NFTs, which are these CryptoPunks. Mm-hmm. He has a CryptoPunk. I don't know how much he bought it for. Not much, because he got it in the early days. It's worth more than $4 million now. Wow. All it is an icon.
See, that's amazing to me. That's just amazing to me.
Yeah. It's an icon. And apparently he got the right one, I guess, which was the smiling zombie. What do you own when you own one of these? No, well, here's the good news. You get it on the ground floor, a mere $400,000. And you too can own something, I don't know what, a URL that points to this image.
I just feel like this is one of those stories. I wish I had a fast forward button to see what the outcome of this popularity is, because I suspect there's going to be some downfall.
I think the trick is to get off this pyramid scheme before everybody else does, right?
Yeah, it all seems so speculative and odd to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what it is. You have capital, and they've got to put it somewhere. I mean, normal people don't have $400,000 to stick around for an NBA clip. You know what I mean? So,
I'd really like to know why this CryptoPunk is worth $280,000, but this CryptoPunk down at the bottom, they're sorted. I've sorted them by value. This CryptoPunk at the bottom is worth $3.4 million. It's just an icon. I don't understand it.
I mean, I like them, but I don't like them $342 million worth of love.
Right.
Well, actually, some of these are worth billions of dollars. I guess that's just that's maybe aspiration. That's aspiration.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck finding a venture capital firm that's going to pay you $1 billion. I don't know if you saw this scandal, Leo, but there's been a recent price fixing scheme in the video game industry where I don't know if you saw the story a while back with a copy of Super Mario 64 being sold for $1 million.
Yes.
And everybody was like, wait a minute. That was not an uncommon game. There are going to be a lot of those that are still new in box. What's going on here? And there was a YouTuber that did an expose. It turns out that it looks very likely that there's a bunch of price fixing between the people that grade the games and the people that are selling the games.
So somebody got scammed. I guess the buyer.
Well, it's a scheme to make the entire vintage game industry appear more valuable than it really is.
I'm holding on to those Beanie Babies. They're going to be worth something someday. Mint in the box.
I believe in you.
I know it. I just know it. It's going to happen. I don't know what to think about this. The news came out this week that the Los Angeles Police Department, on routine stops, even if you're not being arrested, will interview you. That's what the police call it when they're asking you questions, and try to fill out this. This is the interview card they're provided with. Name, sure. Date of birth, sex, gang, moniker. Okay, fine. Plus, full email, social media accounts, e.g. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. They're collecting information about your social media accounts. You haven't been arrested. But the worst thing to me is this. They're pretending, it says, if a social security number is requested, the following disclaimer must be read. Federal law requires that you be informed when asked for your social security number that it must be provided for use in identification. That's exactly not what federal law requires. That's the exact opposite. Why are they collecting social security numbers, Twitter handles?
Did they comment?
Pardon me?
Did they comment anywhere to the media in terms of why they need
all they said Instagram? Was, we're going to update our policy. Meanwhile, The Guardian talked to a professor of law at Loyola, Kathleen Kim. She's an immigrants' rights expert, previously served on the L.A. Police Commission. She says she was not aware of any law requiring individuals to disclose social security numbers to local police. She also says she was shocked to learn about the social security section, noting that is antithetical to the department's own policies. And it violates the spirit of sanctuary laws. So that's what they're trying to figure out. Are you a citizen? And can we deport you? Anyway, I don't know what to make of that. I'm just glad I'm not in L.A.
I would not give a cop my
I think you
Twitter
just say,
just because I don't
Twitter.
want to know
Twitter,
how
what's
much
that?
I post
Absolutely
about
not.
BLM. I would not give them that information.
And good
I
news.
also feel like in general, it's like, I don't know, I operate under the approach of like, no matter who I'm giving information to, give as little as possible, because I just, going back to what we were talking about earlier about security and hacks, I just assume my information is everywhere. And, you know, it's inevitable that your social security number is going to be, you know,
exactly what I was saying earlier.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
just give as little as possible. At least try to make it a bit harder for them to get my information.
I mean, after all, you know, they can fingerprint you. I guess they have to arrest you before they can fingerprint you, though. That's the difference. This one, you're not arrested. They're just, I'm just asking some questions. Just asking some questions. All right. I think we should wrap this up because I'm sure there's a football game to go to or something like that. There's Porsches to be driven, Princess Peach vines to be jumped.
I got aliens to kill. Leo.
Got aliens to kill. Now you got a new buddy to kill aliens with.
Yep.
See, we're making friends all the way around here. Carl Bodie, thank you so much. Your first twit, not your last. It was really great to have you. Tech reporter. You'll see him everywhere, including Vice, Motherboard. I love Motherboard. I think they do a great job. Tech Dirt, I love even more. The Verge. So nice to have you, Carl. Really appreciate it. You got a podcast? Anything you want to plug?
I'll have a newsletter probably this winter because I have to get down that train before everybody's disposable income runs out in terms of how many newsletters they can subscribe to.
Newsletters are the NFTs of sovereign writers.
Yeah.
Something.
So this winter I'll have one of those.
Good. All right. On Substack, or do you know where you'll be?
I'm still talking to different people to suss out my options.
Good. Well, we have to have you back as soon as you start it so we can tell people where to go.
Awesome.
Lisa Edichico, senior editor at CNET. What are you working on these days? I guess you're going to be busy on Tuesday, I'm thinking.
Oh, yes. Tuesday is going to be a very busy day.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance at all that Google will announce the Pixel 6 tomorrow?
I don't know, honestly.
Should I get up early?
It's hard to say.
Should I jump from my Casper and run to the Twitter and see if there's a Pixel 6 I can order?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I am not sure exactly when that's going to happen, but
no one is. They're really obfuscating the fact.
They're really making it very vague, but it will be sometime soon, I'm sure. So
good. It's nice to see you. I really appreciate your coming.
Yeah, it's so great to be back.
Sorry, it's been so long. Last time you were here, you were at Business Insider, so it's good to have you. Back with your new gig at CNET. Nice to see you.
Yes, absolutely.
And of course, the lady in the red beret, Brianna Wu. Executive director.
I'm going to wear this from now on.
I love it,
jokes,
man.
Leo.
You look, I mean, it's just, it looks like you're auditioning for, no, I shouldn't say it. I'm not going to say it. What I was going to say, I shouldn't say it.
I look like a drama kid that, yes, there we go.
No, I thought maybe that you might be running for the lead in impeachment or something like that. But never, I shouldn't, that would be rude to say that. I'm not going to say
There we go.
Executive Director, Rebellion Pack. Is it .com? RebellionPack.com?
.com. There you go. So if you're worried about the midterms, feel free to go to helptherebellion.com.
I am worried.
I always say yes when Leo calls me and asks me to come on because y'all are so generous in helping me out with whatever I'm doing. So you can do that at Help the Rebellion.
Her out. And I know you have Carson working with you over there, which is great.
Yeah, that's true.
Glad to hear it.
I got to tell you, he is a workhorse. He did so much amazing work. We have a data scientist who actually reached out to us because she saw me on Twit and asked to do some analytics for us. So she's handing me a data proposal tomorrow. It's always worth coming on, Leo, one way or the other.
Plug away, Rebellion Pack. I'm scared about the midterms. We got our own election coming up Tuesday. I'm a little scared about that.
I think you should be.
Scary times. But if you want to have fun, you should tune in Rocket on Relay.fm. 350 episodes. Congratulations. Brianna, Christina Warren, Simone de Rochefort, a great panel. Lots of fun every single week. We thank all of you for joining us for This Week in Tech. We do it of a Sunday afternoon, about 2:30 Pacific. That's 5:30 Eastern, 21:30 UTC. If you want to watch us make the sausage live, go to twit.tv/live. There's audio and video streams there. People watching live like to chat with us. Our IRC is available right now at irc.twit.tv. Actually, it's available 24/7. There's always somebody in there. You can also join us in the Discord, home of the animated GIF, I think. Just be a Club Twit member, and all the details will be made available to you, twit.tv/clubtwit. And Brianna's in there too, which is nice.
That's true.
After the fact, on-demand versions of the show available at twit.tv or on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel devoted to the show. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcast app. In fact, that's my favorite way to get it. That way you get it automatically the minute it's available. If your podcast app allows for reviews, please leave us a 5-star review. We would be so grateful. Spread the good word. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye.